You will eat the bugs. Yum, yum. Adrenochrome so good. Population control. Jawohl, jawohl, jawohl. Thank you for your sacrifice. I despise you. Adrenochrome so good. Nouvelle order, nouvelle order. Population control. Yum, yum. You will eat the bugs. We need a great reset. Jawohl, jawohl, jawohl. You will own nothing and be happy.
Ha-ha! Spider-Man! What's cracking, baby? Woo! Hey! Where you going, Spider-Man? Woo-hoo! Ha! You're getting the girl. Save the day. Yeah! Go, Spider-Man!
If they're into computer stuff, go to the one place that has it all, like Spider-Man the computer game. There's something fun for everyone at Best Buy.
Go get him, Spider-Man! Yeah!
We're gonna reclaim getting pegged.
Yeah.
We're gonna reclaim being cocked from the woke left, buddy. Trod polycules rise.
Sorry. Run full fentanyl now. You die, America. Translate. You die, Americans. Africa too. It's China's property. Oh, we tell you to lock down. You starve to death. You scared of virus, but you starve to death. Chapang chang wanga hakangi pong. Chamangi wanga honga katonga pato. Starve America. Starve Europe too. Kill the Africans, kill them all. Chaping chang wang chang pang chang yong. Pong chang wang wang dong dong dong. We found the Antifa Maoist group. Ha 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 ha. We love Hillary too. It's so damn fun. You're so damn scared. Wear your mask and prepare to die. Chang wang chang chang pong chang yi. Dong dong long bong bong geeky. We love LeBron James. He's so good. Death camps, all kinds of students too. Kill the Muslims, kill the Christians, kill the Buddhas, liberal lovers. Ping chow wang chang bing tong kong. Bong dong long chong tong da tong. Bill Gates loves us, he does so good. Take our vaccines and die like you should. Shang wan pong pong bing pong pow. Jing no huang huang quang chow chow. Tong pong tong tong ja ping pa chi. Down with Trump, up with Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping, he kill you now. Take the shots and learn how to die. Die, American scum. Ping, pow, ping, po, pang, chakang. Chang, chong, ching, pang, dong, bagong. We own your debt, your media too. Ha, 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 ha. It's time to die. Take your shots and roll your eyes. Liberal good, wear your mask. I'm your Chinese communist king. Pong, chang, wang, bong, ching, pak, wang. Wang, chong, ping, quang, pong, chakong. Guang, chong, King Kong, Pong, Chakwan.
Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare.
Hey, welcome, chat. How are you guys doing? Whew. Sorry it took a little while to get started, but yeah, let's just say I am currently calling to legalize running over cyclists. I got stuck behind a cyclist in traffic, okay? I don't like him. But alright, welcome to the final stream before we go on hiatus. So, as you guys may know, I got a normal job, and I will be starting on Monday, so it looks like. So, this will be our final stream for now. until I get the schedule all sorted out. Like, hey, Fractured, how you doing?
Welcome, valued customer.
If Melee K shows up, I actually got a special greeting for her now, by the way. For James. Like motorcyclist or bicycle? Bicycle. Motorcycles are fine because they actually can keep up with traffic, but cyclists, like bicycle cyclists, they're incredibly slow and they just block the whole road. I don't know why we allow this as a society. We just gotta... Do I even have a clip? You know what, here's my message to cyclists. Okay, this is my message for cyclists.
Why don't you get some scented candles, nigga? Cause you gay!
You should be able to run them over with your car. You just should. Winkus, how you doing, man?
The more the magicer!
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am excited and also a little nervous, because I haven't gotten up before noon in a very long time. Thank you, Fractured. Thank you. Welcome back to Wage Slave Life. Yeah, you know, there is something, though, about getting paid hourly, because I'm... this is a contracting gig, so I'm going to be getting paid hourly instead of salary, and there is something nice about that, in the sense that I actually get paid for how much I work. Meaning that if they want me to work more, they actually have to pay me more, as opposed to when you're on a salary where they just pay you like a flat fee, and then they may try to make you work like 60 hours or whatever. The first two comments got YouTubed. It's a pain. That's why I always try to have the Stream Ninja thing up, so you can at the very least see if your comment got hidden within like a minute or so. Because if YouTube swallows your comment, then it just won't pop up in here. Welcome back again. I'm not sure who you're correcting. Oh, congrats again. Yeah, again. You said against. Okay, I didn't even notice. Bicyclists are the worst, but I don't like the motorcycles either because the way they duck and weave around traffic. They can be annoying for sure. But at least like when they do that, they just kind of duck and weave and then they're gone. On the other hand, when you're dealing with like a bicycle, the bike just gets stuck and you're stuck behind the bike and it's really annoying. Ugh. Yeah. So. Yeah, so that's why the stream was so late starting, because I had to run out and take care of something, you know.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. Honestly, I don't even know if I'm like right about this. Dude,
I don't think it matters if you're right or wrong in this circumstance. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I just really wanted to play the new clip, to be honest. That's yeah. I put together a new reaction clip. What was he responding to? So he was responding to Pirate Software. You guys remember Pirate Software? When he that guy who bizarrely came out against the Stop Killing Games initiative? So he was reacting to finding out about Pirate Software's furry persona, Maldavius Figtree, which does not even sound like a white person. Yeah, you remember him. Yeah, let's let's look him up before we get into the. If we can find anything here. Oh. Boy. You know what? I'm not sure if I can actually show a lot of this on stream here. The first second generation Blizzard employee never mentions that. Yeah. Yeah, apparently like his dad worked for Blizzard and got him a job and then he got fired. And then he got fired because he sucked or something. Oh, you weren't even aware of the furry stuff? Oh yeah. It goes deep, man. If you just look up Kino Casino Pirate Software, it's one of the best clips there is, because this is a Yeah, I guess I can pull it up really quick. Good software. Yeah, you heard the Blizzard stuff. Oh yeah. If I can find it. Oh, here we go. Let me pull this up. Yeah, we don't have to watch the whole thing, but yeah, I can pull it up for a minute or two just to show you. Show you the absolute beauty of this. And what's really funny is, let me see.
Dollar sign
So Ash, he was like,
that forwards creativity and keeps prices down at the same time. I want to see what people can make. Imagination is worth more than any L money. What the fuck is an L dollar sign?
So Ash, he was like a real estate broker for Second Life, and sold.
There it is.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. Honestly, I don't even know if I'm like right about this, dude.
I don't think it matters if you're right or wrong in this circumstance. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Right? It's
All right,
amazing.
here we go.
And he has multiple moments like this throughout
I-
this clip too. Like multiple moments where PPP is just like losing his mind. Like you guys can go watch the clip for yourself if you want. It's what's it called on their clips channel. The dark truth about Pirate Software, what happened with Stop Killing Games. The beauty of this segment is that this, for once, it is actually Worski putting the segment together and dragging PPP through it. So PPP really didn't even want to do this segment, but Worski put it together. And so the whole segment, Worski is explaining everything. And you just see PPP just completely losing his mind as Worski drags him through it. It's great. Yeah, so it makes me just the top comment here. It makes me happy watching Worski drag PPP kicking and screaming through a segment he absolutely hates. Yeah, 'cause it's like, suffer PPP. So it's, oh my god. God. Guys, look. How can I zoom in on this? I need to zoom in. I don't have Worski's magnifier. I need to zoom in because I just saw something that I think we need to show Melee K here. What's the best way to do this here? Okay, you know what? I'll just expand the capture here. No, damn it. Sorry, clearly I'm still a little bit out of it because of the stupid cyclist. But I promise this is worth torturing K. Look at this thumbnail. Pirate Software in a banana suit. Guys, if we need to find K, because I think she would love this thumbnail. No, he's in a banana. No, he's in a banana suit. No.
No! No!
Are you?
No! No!
Yes.
Are you joking?
No! No!
Are you joking me?
LMAO, yeah. For fuck's sake, a real estate broker for Second Life. Yes, I have never touched Second Life, and it sounds like I never should, so I don't think I ever will. Yeah. Pure gold. Yeah, perfect. Oh yeah, and it gets so much worse. Oh, and by the end of it, he's reading these texts, because apparently Pirate Software was, like, messing with some gay furry kid. And, Worski makes PPP read this, and of course PPP does it in the Ethan Ralph male voice, bitch.
Fucking other people. I super don't trust you after this little side quest. So what do you want? No, like, I don't trust you. You did something really fucking messed up here. You could have just come to me any fucking time and been like, yo, I'm turned on. I'm turned on right now.
It was when you were asleep. To be fair, our sleep schedules don't.
Do gay people really? Really gay people?
Everyone's typing ooh. Okay. God.
Ew.
Maybe I should have clipped that. Do gay people really? Yeah. Yeah, it's man, it's a great clip. It's a great clip. Whew. Man. Oh, that was fun. Okay, so we got a bunch of stuff. I don't know. You guys want to start with the deep conspiracies, or do you want to just go into? Do you want to go into some brain rot first? I'll let you guys decide which one you want to do first. Because the conspiracy stuff is going to take a while, but there's also a little bit of brain rot we can react to. This is awful in the funniest way. Yeah, I mean that kind of describes every Kino Casino clip, right? Oh, you know what? Here's a little news story. We'll start with first before we get to either of the main topics here. So apparently, Uber is now rolling out the ability to choose women to choose women drivers, which is like, I don't know. I mean, do you want women to be less safe then on the road? Yeah, conspiracy with brain rot as the cleanser. All right, we can do that. So, I mean, personally, if I want to be safe on the road, I will choose a man to drive me. You know how women drivers are. You heard about this, yeah? So, they will roll out their new women preferences features across the country. Women riders will be able to request women drivers and vice versa. Quote unquote, the goal is to improve comfort and safety for women on the platform. The goal is to improve comfort and safety for women on the platform, bitch. To give them more choice, more confidence, and more flexibility when they use Uber. Apparently, they started off in the Bug Hives, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Detroit, or Detroit. And yeah, so now apparently they can do that in all across America. So they receive a new option called. The new option is literally called Women Drivers. It's like, this won't stop someone from identifying as female and then picking female drivers. This will end horribly. Oh yeah, they never think these things through. But I mean, I literally would prefer to choose a male driver. Give me that option. Give me a give me a man drivers, okay? Or men drivers, or male drivers, whatever. Give me that option, because I know that a male driver is going to get me where I want to go, reasonable speed, and not get me killed. You don't know that with a woman driver, okay? Last time I had to deal with a woman driver, it was terrifying. I don't even feel comfortable driving with my mom in the car. You know, every time I'm driving, my mom's in the car, she's always making all these noises, like, you know. And it's like, I can't drive you around anymore, Ma. I just can't. I can't do it. Okay. So, you know, this is a total disaster. They first launched the women rider preference in 2019 when a law was introduced to give women the right to drive in Saudi Arabia. Good God. Saudi Arabia, what are you thinking? What were you thinking, Saudi Arabia? This has only made America worse. Good God. Yeah, it's not gonna end well. It's not gonna end well. Okay. So, our main topic Now, I really wasn't planning to talk about the Iran war or Epstein today when I first set out, but somehow those topics just keep cropping up. So, to explain what I mean, the main topic somehow looped into the Iran war and Epstein. I will, let's see, where do we want to start here? Because there's a ton, by the way. So, let's see, we'll start here with, we'll start by pulling up the New York Internet ID bill. So, how do I get this out of the way? Go away. No, I don't. I want to create an account. This is very annoying. Box on the right. Okay, so basically it requires manufacturers of internet-enabled devices to conduct age assurance, blah, 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 blah. This is very similar to the California bill that well, not we, but that's been talked about a lot. And by the way, all of these laws, every Internet ID law is going to pass because of this right here. So last year, the Supreme Court upheld Texas's age verification law, their Internet ID law. So, yeah, these laws they're going to get to stay. So broadly speaking, there are two types of these age verification laws. There are the New York and California style ones, which are trying to modify operating systems themselves, which these don't really make any sense because, I mean, yeah, sure, Windows... Apple and Microsoft and Google will obviously comply and do all that stuff because they're big mega corporations in America. And so they'll just add that. And to use their devices, typically they make you set up an account anyway. So that's going to be, a Microsoft account using Windows, your Apple ID and all that. Google's got their, Google ID to use all the Google stuff. So that's going to happen on, those PCs and those phones. But this is a problem for Linux because Linux is just such a distributed community-built variety of operating systems. The other type, of course, is the one that seems to be all over Republican states. So, Florida, here, as an example. And this is one we're going to come back to, by the way. So, Florida and Texas, for instance, their laws all require that you have to use effectively government ID or biometric data. Kind of like what Discord was doing. So you have to give the government your identity to go to places, to go to anywhere that the government says could be inappropriate for the children. Now we'll come back to Florida because Florida is an important part of this conversation here. But here's something even bigger that we need to point out here. So this isn't just going through... This isn't just state by state anymore. So Congress here is attempting to... Sergey, how you doing, man?
Oh, hello there.
You missed the funny part of the stream. Now we're in the serious part. So Congress... Good. Glad to hear it. Hope your arm's doing a little better, by the way. So now Congress is trying to create a nationwide Internet ID bill. And as they say, websites may use any commercially available technology verification measure reasonably designed to ensure accuracy. And as they say, platforms must take reasonable measures to address circumvention. So that probably includes VPNs. They don't name them explicitly. And you can see the bill here. It's been introduced. Now, it hasn't gone anywhere too far, but it will. Because that's just... They keep trying to ram these things through all the time. You were watching Paul's stream for a bit? Yeah, Paul got Todd Howard on his stream. But it's not Todd Howard with the shotgun and the Teletubby outfit, you know? If they're still going when we wrap up, we'll probably raid out to them. But yeah, so just keep an eye on this, because sooner or later, the internet, sooner or later, everyone in America will be forced to give the government their ID to use the internet. Todd Howard, the joke is that for some reason, Seth, DJ Axis, is using a Todd Howard avatar on Paul's stream right now. On the Company Boy stream right now. I don't know why. So yeah, these bills, they will ram them through, and they will be upheld. Yeah. So the Supreme Court has upheld these rules, so they're going to stay. They're not going anywhere. And as a result of these... So going back to the California and New York style laws, where they're trying to modify the operating systems themselves, the various Linux distros out there are not happy about this. Most of them sound like they will comply, though. So, this page loads. There we go. So, the two big ones, unfortunately, that we have to pay attention to are Canonical and Red Hat. These are the two companies that run the... You know what? I'll even show you here. So, Canonical here, and then Red Hat. So, Canonical, most well known for making Ubuntu. And if you've ever used Linux, there's a good chance you used Ubuntu or some derivative of Ubuntu. But Ubuntu isn't just some, you know, simple open source operating system. Ubuntu is backed by Canonical here, who are a big company, and they have enterprise customers. So, and then the same thing with Red Hat. Red Hat has their Fedora Linux, which is kind of like Ubuntu. It is a one for the community, open source and all that. But Red Hat, much like Canonical, are also enterprise Linux, and they actually, whereas Ubuntu, I don't believe. Yeah, see, so they have like Ubuntu desktop and server, and then they have like Ubuntu Pro and stuff, which are kind of built on top of regular Ubuntu. Red Hat, on the other hand, has their own Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is basically its own distribution, separate from Fedora, but they control both. The major thing to understand here is that because Red Hat and Canonical are so much of the enterprise Linux market, the way they go is likely the way that Linux in general is going to go. And the reason I say this is because Red Hat is responsible for moving Linux toward things like Wayland and Systemd, which are both absolute garbage. Well, Systemd is not the worst thing in concept, but it's bloated and it's become garbage. And then Wayland is it's a display compositor. Is that the term? Display server. That's the term I'm looking for. And Wayland is just complete crap. It's complete total garbage. It doesn't work. It's missing so many features, and everyone's trying to move to that. And the big Linux distributions have moved to Systemd and Wayland, unfortunately, which sucks. And that's why I say Canonical and Red Hat are likely where Linux is going to go. You can stay for about an hour, then you got to go to an appointment. All right, well, good luck with your appointment, man. Yeah, so those two, unfortunately, are likely going to comply. So developers at Canonical were thinking about like an optional dbus interface, which you don't have to worry too much about it. Basically, it's just an interface that is used on Linux. This request was ultimately closed, however, so in here. So they were proposing an optional dbus interface that distributions could implement. However, this was ultimately canceled because people just didn't like it, and it's a stupid idea anyway. And because so many Linux distributions are derived from Ubuntu or Fedora, they're all just going to copy whatever Ubuntu and Fedora do. System 76, they're a little separate. They make Pop OS. They are also likely going to comply. Now, there are some niche distros here, like Omarchy, Adenix, and Midnight BSD. They're saying this is lame and gay, and I like what the Omarchy guy said here, retarded, which is accurate. They're just saying, you know, we're not going to do this. Basically, if you're in California, then, you know, fuck off. We're just not going to bother with this. Now, the other, as this guy says here, much of the Linux ecosystem ultimately traces back to Debian, Arch, Ubuntu, and Red Hat. And the thing is, Ubuntu is derived from Debian. So, while Debian is fully open source, Ubuntu is corporate. It's also not clear what Debian's going to do. However, Arch is interesting because there have been some conversations in Arch, and they've all been wiped for whatever reason, and there's no archive. There was a discussion for Arch Linux where the Arch developers were saying Arch is not even based in America, so they were just kind of laughing at it because there's not really a whole lot they can do to make them implement it. So it seems Arch Linux may not implement it, which is good. And Arch, a lot of popular distros these days are derived from Arch Linux. So like CachyOS is one. There are a few others that are rolling release. And I like Arch Linux myself because they're rolling release. So I hope that Arch sticks to that. Now, the one Arch Linux derivative that I would be worried about is SteamOS. So if you have like a Steam Deck or Steam Machine or whatever, that's running SteamOS, and SteamOS is derived from Arch Linux. Now, SteamOS will most likely comply because Valve is based in America and they don't want to get sued by, you know, California, New York, whatever. So my guess is that if you have a Steam Deck, you will likely have to enter your age and all that when you set it up. There's also SUSE here. OpenSUSE is another Linux distribution. They're based somewhere in Europe, so you know they may just kind of ignore this as well. But yeah, so most likely they'll either... I think the big distributions are likely going to implement the age verification. Now, let's go... So yeah, there's your Linux Black Pill for the day. Now, let's go back to the Florida internet law here, because I think Florida is the most interesting example of where all this is going. So what I want you to understand here is that Florida's law is not just about adult content. It goes beyond. So Florida's law, and this is a little bit of an old article, but the law did go through. So here, the law took effect in January of 2025. Bans children under 14 from creating social media accounts, and 14-15 you need parental consent. Now take a look at this. So it's not just for adult content, it's for social media. So to use social media in Florida, you have to give the government your ID or biometric data. So the government effectively has to verify who you are. So if you use social media in Florida, the government knows who you are, right? So keep that in mind. So Anything else important in here? Yeah. Oh, and by the way, should I bring this up now? Now, I'll bring it up later. So, I want you to take a look here at this new law coming in. You missed the draft talk? Oh, no, you're just in time. We're still talking Internet ID, Random Wolves. How you doing, man?
Oh, hello there.
But you did miss some Kino Casino laughs. So yeah, keep this in mind. Florida's law extends, unlike a lot of these other laws, which are just aimed at like adult content. Florida's law extends to social media. And keep in mind, this is how they sold these laws, by the way. They sold you these laws by, oh, it's about protecting the children. We can't let them see boobs on the internet. Oh, that's so bad. It's such a big problem if they see something on the internet. And then it's social media. And you can probably guess what comes next, right? There's an update on Internet ID. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's basically the title of the stream is 1984, right? These 1984 Internet ID laws. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a bill in Congress at the federal level that is intended to implement this Internet ID stuff on a national level. Hey, dude, how you doing?
The more the magicer.
You vote red, you get wars, government surveillance, illegal aliens for cheap labor and taxes. You vote blue, and you get wars, government surveillance, illegal aliens for cheap labor, taxes, and child sterilization. Yes. Yeah, pretty much. You know, GG, we're done skis. I miss when the internet used to be fun. Yeah, the internet was fun back when it was all decentralized and there was, you know, everything wasn't just kind of corralled into these specific social media sites. You could say whatever you want, do whatever you want. You know, now you can't even say nigger on the internet without getting in trouble. God forbid you say something like kike, the ADL will come after you. And on that note, I miss when 1984 wasn't a playbook for politicians. Was that ever the case? Because I think that must have been before I was even born. When we lost all the fun, yeah. Okay, so keeping in mind Florida's law extends to social media, internet, they need to know, basically you have to dox yourself to the government to use social media, not just to watch, you know, adult content. So keep that in mind as we go over this next law that is going to be coming to Florida here. Florida legislators advance a bill authorizing government surveillance based on views or opinions. And yes, before you ask, this is basically about quote-unquote anti-Semitism. So there's a bill here in Florida, and I'll pull up the bill. The panic diarrhea alert. So right here, let's see, requires Florida, what is that, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, I assume, to establish and administer a statewide counterintelligence and counterterrorism unit for specified purposes, blah, blah, blah. Of course it is. Yeah, exactly. There's already a hate speech law for them, and I will bring that up soon. Yeah, they can't take a joke or criticism every time you bring something up. It's like, oy vey, it's another show. And of course, we can't really talk about who they are either.
Who is they though? We can't say who they is, can we?
Press.
Let's see, bill text, and I don't believe the bill has been amended at all. Right now, it's going through the committees, right? It's going through all the committees, sitting in the State Affairs Committee. This is a long bill. I'm not gonna. We don't need to go through all of this here because they sum it up well. But as they say, the Florida legislature, this bill would authorize government surveillance of people whose views or opinions are deemed a threat to state or national interests. And Florida, interestingly, also has Internet ID. Not just for porn, but for social media. So isn't that convenient? Isn't that convenient? I almost forgot, but I got the desk, so I can do my rants now. So isn't this just such interesting timing when Israel has dragged us to war with Iran? They're covering up for Epstein. Now, these quote-unquote based red states, like Florida and Texas, have internet ID, so the government knows what you're doing online. You have to dox yourself. And now Florida is introducing a law where they're gonna observe you. And conveniently, now they have your ID whenever you post on the internet, don't they? They equate words with being put on trains and being sent to camps. Well, I hear the camps are actually not so bad. And, supposedly there weren't actually that many people on those trains, Remember what Dave Portnoy said about...
You can find this out by checking the early life section of their Wikipedia pages.
I never liked Dave Portnoy. I remember when people were, glazing the guy constantly a couple of years ago. They're like, oh, he's so great. And then he just, cucks out massively the moment he has to deal with Alex Stein, even. I never liked that guy. And to be honest, I don't trust his pizza reviews either. If you're gonna have a pizza, you gotta order, a plain cheese pizza. And you gotta, eat at least one whole slice. You don't just do one bite. You gotta eat the whole thing. And you gotta do it right, okay? And honestly, I think the best pizza is New York-style pizza. But, oh, also, I kept confusing him with, a gay drummer or something years ago. But, yeah. Uh-oh. Good game, Nightmare. We'll miss you. Oh, don't worry. Oh, okay. Sorry, this drink cup is not sealed properly, so it keeps leaking. Who? So Dave Portnoy is this, he's mainly the faggot who runs Barstool Sports. This guy. Apparently, they were glazing him because I guess he totally owned AOC Epic Style or something like that. Apparently he's apparently he's a complete piece of shit. So, yeah. Nightmare food reviews incoming. I don't know about that. Maybe Taco Bell reviews. Too much bacon on a bacon pizza was a complaint of his. I thought his people weren't even allowed to eat bacon. Interesting. I'll take on NYC style being the best. I mean, hey, I just like New York style pizza a lot. The thin, but I hate thin crust, but that New York style is the right kind of thin where you get a crispy crust, but it's still not a hard... It doesn't feel like you're just eating a cracker, But hey, I also love deep dish pizza, so, Sadly, I can't really eat a lot of pizza nowadays because I'm trying to be in shape. But, when a gay drummer plays drums, is that called a beat-off? I think that would only be if two of them were playing drums, wouldn't it? You've heard of Barstool, yeah. Yeah, it was great when Alex Stein went to the Barstool building and basically just made Portnoy just look like a massive cuck. It was funny. Yeah. Yeah, you get it. So, yeah, so this Florida bill would, as they say... Well, first of all, the ACLU claims that this is vague and overbroad language in the bill, weaponized against everyday Floridians engaged in First Amendment protected activity, naturally. And the representative who filed the bill doesn't get it. He's like, we're combating drug cartels, terrorist organizations, foreign intelligence entities. And he didn't even realize this could be a First Amendment concern. Gee. Jerry, how you doing?
Oh, hello there!
Yeah, so we're talking internet ID, and this all somehow ties to Epstein and the Iran war, because Florida is using their internet ID law, and in combination with this new bill, they will be surveilling everybody in Florida who has conveniently had to dox themselves. So basically, if you criticize Israel, the Florida government is going to come after you, and they're going to know who you are because they forced you to dox yourself just to use social media. So their counterterrorism unit is going to come after you. Yep, EU is the same. Forcing EU-wide digital ID. See, QWE23, welcome to the stream.
Welcome, valued customer!
Over on Twitch, welcome. I love giving my information to Israel. Yeah. Well, I mean, either you give your information to Israel, or Palantir will do it for you. Welcome. I'm sorry to say, QQE. I hope I'm saying your name right, by the way. I'm sorry to say this is my final stream for a little while because I got a day job, and so that's going to shift around my schedule and stuff. But welcome. We're happy to have you here. How dare you question our global hegemons? Oh, we're questioning, all right. We're doing a lot of questioning. So right here they say, what is an adversary intelligence entity? Bill definition goes beyond spies employed by foreign governments. It includes, but is not limited to, any national, foreign, multinational, blah, 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 recognized enemy government or non-government. So this is basically this is just anybody whose demonstrated actions, views, or opinions are a threat or are inimical to the interests of this state and the United States of America. And what are the interests of America, by the way? Well, the interests of America right now, it seems to be protecting Israel. So, yeah. Congrats on the job. Well, thank you, Jerry. Thank you. Yeah, I start Monday, looks like, so. Let's see. Yeah, so he says he was willing to excise the language referring to any person. Yeah, the thing I just pointed out. But as they say, the original version is the only one listed on the website, and yeah, it still is. There's no amended version here. Now, yeah, he claims it's going after terrorists and nation-state bad actors, not political speech, but we know. We know. Yeah, and these committees have all approved it. There are a few dissenters. One here is a Republican. The other is a Democrat, of course. Of course, yep. Counterintelligence abuses by the Church Committee. That is what I assume this is a woman referred to. Let's see here. Oh yeah, and there's a companion bill in the Senate. But the House bill looks like it's the one more likely to pass. So yeah, and in case you're not convinced yet, Florida has a law, as Wingus so kindly pointed out to us. Florida already has a law where you cannot criticize Israel effectively. So you cannot, as they say, government agencies cannot hire companies that boycott Israel. So there you go. You criticize Israel, you cannot do any business whatsoever with the state government. And this is an old article, but the bills that were mentioned here, they passed. So right here, approved by governor. So there you go. That law was the moment I said, fuck DeSantis. Yeah, I mean, I was probably saying that even beforehand. But yeah, absolutely. He is not that great of a governor. In fact, I would call him... Shit. Say,
Shame on you.
So you can't boycott, but you can make your jokes. In theory, but you know, any kind of joke is effectively hate speech and violence against all Jews. So you're not allowed to make jokes. So yeah, so it should really not be any kind of question what this surveillance bill is going to be used for, in tandem with their existing internet ID laws and these existing anti-BDS is what they call it, anti-BDS laws. Yeah, UN saying words are violence. The UN is such a disaster. Why are you gay? You're not ever getting a job now. Well, I mean, did you use your real? Oh wait, do you live in Florida? Is that what it is? Yeah, you could be in trouble. Yeah, so there's that. Oh, and oh no, run. You're not in Florida. Okay, well, yeah, you might still be okay, as long as you don't use your real name when you criticize Israel. Otherwise, your only options are going to be going to work for like Nick Fuentes or something. I don't know. I wouldn't doubt that they're going to push for it everywhere, though. Yeah, and that goes with the bill that I showed earlier here. So they're trying to pass Internet ID on a national level. Right here. And here's the bill. So it's still in committees, but it's been introduced, and something like this will most likely pass. What is the job? So I am going to be doing Android development. So it's a software job. But yeah, so it's right up my alley. Fuentes is controlled opposition. Yeah, I don't really trust Fuentes that much, but I mean, he does seem to be saying all the right things. Well, Alex Jones seems to like Fuentes now. He actually offered to have Fuentes host the last hour of his show at some point. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little nervous, but, you know. Mostly I'm just nervous that I might not be up, because I haven't gotten up before noon in a while, so that's mostly what I'm nervous about. But, yeah, so that's the reason that my streams are going to be on hiatus for a little while. I got to figure out my my stream timings. And Thursday, it probably won't be on Thursdays anymore when I do start streaming again, because I'm also taking a martial arts class starting a couple weeks here, so, and that's on Thursdays. You thought the Internet ID got shot down? Oh, no. The Supreme Court has explicitly allowed Internet ID laws. And every time any of these bills get shot down, they just reintroduce them. So this is just the newest one right here. Shorter Saturday ones? Yeah, I'll have to think about it, you know? I'll have to think about it, because, yeah, a lot of times on Saturdays I just prefer to, like, sleep and relax, you know? But we'll see. We'll see how everything gets rearranged. Sounds so fire, bros on the rise. Yeah. And now I just gotta find a nice girl, and then, you know, then we can say this is a good year. Jones is like Fuentes for a while now. Yeah, he doesn't fully agree on everything, but everyone will have some disagreements. I don't see the controlled op things. I've heard some accusations for Alex Jones. Yeah, I've heard that, but I think people are jumping to certain conclusions. With Alex Jones, I think his real problem is that he just wants to believe in Trump so much. And Trump has been nothing but a series of disappointments throughout, like, the past year. But he is just so full of hopium or copium, whatever you want to call it. You know, Alex is trying not to get totally black-pilled. And yeah, he disagrees with Fuentes on voting Democrat, which, I mean, I kind of disagree too, because I would not vote Democrat. I'm just not going to vote in the midterms, honestly. If I do vote, it'll be like Libertarian or something, because, yeah, the Republicans have not earned my vote. Big wallets, muscle from martial arts, bro's got the bird in the bag in a year. Yeah, well, I mean, like, we were talking on Discord earlier about Ethan Ralph. Right, and Ethan Ralph, somehow that guy, who is a complete disaster, I swear, I think, I'm not even joking when I say I think I am better than Ethan Ralph in every single way. Somehow Ethan Ralph has been, like, married twice. And he's had a lot of different women. How the hell is that guy getting women and then I'm still single? Like, what on earth is going on? We really live in a total clown world. Suffer, nightmare. Suffer, bitch. Suffer.
Right.
Maybe
He's
I'm
extra
wrong.
confident in his
Honestly,
retardation.
I don't even know if I'm like right about this. Dude,
I don't think it matters if you're right or wrong
No.
in this circumstance. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Fuentes has always voted Democrat. Okay, yeah. I don't know too much about Fuentes' background. But yeah, I know he's not somebody I put too much stock in, but he does say a lot of the right things. That is his biggest problem. Yeah, he's still kind of holding on. For Alex, yeah. Thick wallet. Yeah, I mean, my wallet's always been pretty thick. All I'm going to say is my net worth is higher than you might think it is. But that's all I'm going to say. Just the confidence. Well, I think, you know what, I think a lot of it is the social proof, and that's why Chris Chan got a girlfriend finally. Is because these guys are also... They're also well known across the internet, you know what I mean? So because they're like... They have the quote-unquote social proof. The popularity gets them, gets the women. Is most likely what it is. Slosh, how you doing, brother?
Welcome, valued customer.
Yeah, we were talking about Internet ID, and then we ended up on the topic of Ethan Ralph. Somehow. But yeah, so in short, I believe that in tandem with these Internet ID laws, Florida is pioneering laws to basically stop you from making any kind of hate speech over Israel, because they know who you are, and if you criticize Israel, they can now just come after you, thanks to their Internet ID laws and these new surveillance laws they're putting in. And of course, once this gets onto a national level, what'll likely happen is Palantir and Flock will come in, and we've already seen those Flock cameras, how easy those Flock cameras are to get hacked, by the way. There have been plenty of exposés on it. So those Flock cameras get hacked all the time, and there's Palantir, which is literally a total 1984 surveillance panopticon that they're trying to take over, and Trump is all in, because Peter Thiel is his pal. So Trump is trying to give full control of the surveillance apparatus to Peter Thiel, Palantir. And in case you have still have any faith in the government's ability to keep your data secure, let me show you something here. So why don't we just read this headline here? Foreign hacker in 2023 compromised Epstein files held by FBI. So the government could not even keep the files that they were trying to cover up secure. And we're supposed to trust them with our IDs, biometric data, for everything we do online. So a foreign hacker in 2023, quote-unquote, compromised files relating to the FBI investigation of Epstein during a quote-unquote break-in, a virtual break-in, I assume, at the New York field office. They said, oh, it's an isolated cyber incident. The FBI restricted access to the malicious actor and rectified the network. The investigation remains ongoing, so we do not have further comments to provide at this time. Yeah, which is all just their, usual corpo speak, effectively. They're claiming it was a cyber criminal and not a foreign government. But, yeah, they don't tell us anything about who did it or what happened to him. Let's see. First Familiar said it was carried out by a foreign hacker who did not appear to realize they'd penetrated a law enforcement server. The hacker expressed disgust at the presence of child abuse images on the device, left a message threatening to turn its owner over to the FBI, which is kind of ironic. The source said Bureau officials defused the situation by convincing the hacker they were actually the FBI. In part by having the hacker join a video chat where they flashed their law enforcement credentials in front of a webcam.
Yo, slam that, yo. This.
Retard alert! Retard alert! Retard alert! Retard alert!
So that is our FBI. Our FBI is so amazing that they actually had to... That not only did they get hacked, but they actually had to go on a video chat with the hacker, show them that they were actual feds, and be like, "Hey, we are the feds. Don't hack us." This is just sad. This is really sad. Bro, just trust in the plan, bro. Yeah, I know. You trust in the plan, and then what do they do? The FBI gets a bunch of homeless guys to... They effectively threaten a bunch of homeless guys to say they're going to kidnap the governor of Michigan, and then they try to get those guys thrown in jail, and it turns out the whole op was a Fed op. The Feds suck, man. Oh, yeah. Sorry, but they do. Look, this is just how I feel about all types of cops in general. I don't trust them. I don't care if it's like local police, state cops, feds. They're all kind of the same. This is how they all are. The current guys, Cash, etc., are incompetent. They're incompetent, and they're intended to be so. I mean, his boss, Pam Bondi, is a complete disaster, and I'm pretty sure she's doing what she's supposed to. I believe that Pam Bondi is covering these things up intentionally. So she's doing the job she's been put in place to do. But yeah, the Cash Patel... Like, did you see that clip of Cash Patel, like, celebrating with, which team was it that won the Super Bowl this year? I think that's who he was celebrating with. And he just looks like a complete jackass. Though I will say his girlfriend is really hot, so, you know, if anyone wants to honeypot me, I am available. You know, just saying. Same, not that black and blue myself. Yeah, I'm not one of those back the blue lunatics or anything. Cash is doing his job as he's supposed to, being a useful idiot. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, okay, it was hockey. It was hockey. Okay. I gotcha. But yeah, was it like the Olympic hockey team or whatever? That might be what I'm thinking of. But yeah, he was celebrating like a retard. Support cops, or feel like they're too busy stomping their feet and focusing on the wrong issues. Well, this is how cops work. They will take the path of least resistance and highest profit. So, you know, they will... they're not going to do anything about real issues, but they'll, you know, stop you on the road and steal all your money and write you a ticket. They took forever to find Luigi Mangione. Took forever to find Kirk's guy. And I don't even believe the Kirk guy is the real guy. I don't believe... I don't even know the name of the guy. But I don't believe that the guy they say shot Charlie Kirk actually is the one who killed Charlie Kirk. I think he was just their patsy. If anything, I think there's a good chance that, like, the CIA or maybe the FBI themselves, more likely the CIA or some combination of CIA and Mossad, are the ones who took out Charlie Kirk. Not cops, I mean the FBI. Well, like I said, it's all kind of the same to me. They're all incompetent. I mean, you know, when the wheels were stolen right off of my car a few years ago, the cops didn't do anything at all. They never accomplished anything. You've had good relations with police, so they're cool with you. I don't think I've ever had a positive interaction with the cops, to be honest. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't trust authorities in general. So let's jump into a little more before we get into some massive black pills. You gotta go. All right, see you, Sergey. Good luck at your appointment, man. So the Washington Post here, we're not going to go through this whole thing, but basically they're just bitching and moaning about how people are connecting the Epstein files to Trump's new war in Iran. So let's scroll down here a little bit. Blah. Fake Epstein video, blah, blah, blah. There's some... here we go. The conflict, referring to the Iran war, has also sparked a sharp rise in anti-Semitic content, according to researchers from the Anti-Defamation League, a quote-unquote Jewish civil rights organization. Some of it seeking to link Epstein, who's Jewish, to the conflict. I mean, he worked for Mossad. He was a Mossad asset. We know that. Here's their kvetching about... Pretty quickly after the conflict began, this conspiratorial rebranding of Operation Epic Fury, the U.S. military's official name, into Operation Epstein Fury, started circulating on social media platforms, said Oren Segal, the ADL's Senior Vice President of Counter-Extremism and Intelligence. An ADL report found that the phrase Epstein Fury was mentioned more than 90,000 times on X within the first 3 days. I think that name fits pretty well, doesn't it? Operation Epstein Fury. Because that's what it is. Or Operation APAC Fury, if you want to go the that route. Ah, yes, and Candace Owens, who was a bit of a nut, but she's on point with the Israel stuff. An AI-generated image of Trump flanked by Israel flags, and suggested the United States was blowing up Iranians because it's controlled by Jews. I mean, it is. They literally admitted it. I played the clip last week of Marco Rubio saying Israel forced us into the Iran war. Asked whether she stands by her post, how she felt about her post being shared by pro-Iran propaganda account, her reaction to the ADL's concern, viewing anti-Semitism. Candace Owens said via email, "Of course I stand by my post. Israel is a filthy terrorist state that mass murders children and Christians." You know what, based? I did not expect to be calling a black woman based. Based. F juice, but I'm still pro this war. Jeez. Nah, I'm never pro war. You gotta start cooking? Alright, well, good luck cooking, man. I mean, you can always watch on, like, your phone or something, have it in the background. That's where I usually when I'm making food, I just have my phone or tablet in the background while I'm watching streams. You'll watch the VOD to get coverage on the draft. Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit here. But yeah, cook yourself something nice, Random Walls. But yeah, so they're saying that criticizing the war effectively is now anti-Semitism. Isn't that amazing? We also got a clip from... this clip is just really funny. So Tucker Carlson got this clip of Ben Shapiro here. So we're not going to watch the whole video, just the part of Ben Shapiro kvetching. But it's really funny.
Ben Shapiro recent clip that kind of sums up the arguments in favor of this war. Here's Ben Shapiro.
Sadly, younger Republicans have become similarly prone to conspiratorial thinking. According to Manhattan Institute, 54% of young Republicans, men under 50, believe the Holocaust didn't happen as historians describe. 53.
I think young Republicans are becoming unholy levels of base.
Oh no! What happened? Oh no! How terrible! That's just awful! How terrible! Oh no!
53% of Republicans under 50 believe in 9/11 conspiracy theories. 51% believe the moon landing was faked. These people, too, have bought into a grievance-based distrust of the system. And it's showing in their embrace of psychotic figures and disconnected politics. America is a force for good in the world. Radical Islamists are evil. American allies who demonstrate strength are an asset for us. Terrorists are bad. Members of the Grievance Party are losing their mind over this, and now they've been relegated to basically rooting for Iran to win. So members of the Grievance Party, meaning Democrats and members of that horseshoe right, have decided that after paying lip service to the horrors of the mullahs, the true horror is American interventionism and destruction. America must be undermined.
So if you have questions about this war, whether it's in your interest, your country's interests or not, and it's never a question that's occurred to Ben Shapiro, is this good for America? That's really not under consideration. But if it's under your consideration, if you've raised that question, you are tantamount to a Holocaust denier. You're insane. You're a crazy person. You probably think the moon landing was fake. And 9/11 was fake. By the way, there's a pretty easy way to settle any debate about 9/11, which is by declassifying the millions of pages of classified documents that might explain what 9/11 was. But that's never under consideration.
I just let that play out a little bit because I like how he puts that. So yeah, you're if you're against the war, suddenly you're a Holocaust denier. Which, I mean, yeah, you look up. You know, I've heard that some of the greatest dancing comes out of Israel. So if you want to learn more, you can just look up dancing Israelis. So yeah. And I actually found the poll that he was looking up. It's not quite as based as he makes it sound. Best case scenario, it's 2.1 million. It was only 250,000. Yeah, so this is the poll, and yes, the young men are slightly more based than everybody else, which is good. And bear in mind, this poll was actually from here, October of 2025. So this is before the Iran war. Yeah, so Republicans do agree that Western society is too feminine. Which is good. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. Now, getting to the draft discussion here. So, Ron Paul on the Liberty Report. I need to see the chat here. Ron Paul's Liberty Report reported the other day that, well, as you can see by the title here, scroll down. As Iran war escalates, Congress passes automatic involuntary draft registration. So, effectively, as part of the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, something like that. It's the military spending budget. Congress shoved in automatically registering every young man for the draft. Up until now, you had to actually go and sign up for it manually, fill out a form, which is ridiculous, by the way. The draft is slavery. It just is. And it's only men who have to do it. But yeah, so now Congress just automatically signs you up for the draft.
He is not going away. This is the Ron Paul Liberty Report with Ron Paul. Just tell the truth.
The Liberty Report today. Daniel, good to have you. Our co-host.
How are you together?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We're talking about something that makes me nervous, and that is the draft. And I remember spending practically a year on this in Washington, trying to prevent registration to return in 1980 because it had been suspended, as the Vietnam War was ending. So why was I so excited and determined to participate in that debate? And it's occurring once again, because I think it's the issue of self-ownership, and most people know they know about they themselves are their boss, and they should be responsible for themselves. And it's a very important issue. But self-ownership also implies that the government doesn't own you. When the government does, you're enslaved, and there's lots of variations on total slavery or no slavery or what. But I see it as serious as calling a person a slave if they can draft you up, send you off to a war that you don't want, and kill people by the thousands or hundreds of thousands. And it's all because it is assumed, and be patriotic for Bonetti, to allow the government to treat their people as slaves rather than individuals who can make up their own mind.
I mean, he summed it up really well, right? Are you a slave? Are you owned by the government? Or do you own yourself? And the draft is, by that definition, slavery, because it implies the government owns you. And in many ways, the government already acts entitled as though they own you as it is, right? Whether it's taxes or social security numbers, by the way, another form of that, your serial number, as it is.
You know, there were two things I always mentioned when I talked about this was there are two things that are in the law that would have to be repealed if you want to eliminate this idea. First, I talked about the draft. If they can draft you, they own you. They own you because the very serious problems you get draft. If you avoid the draft, I mean, it is really serious business that you're dealing with. And the other thing is the income tax. If the government can come along and say to you that every single cent you make is ours, the government owns it, that's their money. Oh, but they'll let you keep some. But how much? Oh, whatever we feel like giving you. And some people get to keep more than others, and all. But the power to keep a person's earnings is the most destructive thing you can do to personal liberty and personal economic benefits. So
he literally just described the second thing I mentioned, which is the taxing you. I love Ron Paul. I wish I could ask Ron Paul to be my grandpa.
So right now, what are they doing? It looks like there's people, they've been spending a lot of money, a lot of killing going on that people don't talk about because it's nothing like World War II, and people would like to think that it's not too big a deal, but there are people starting to realize that these wars aren't popular. There's a financial consequence to it. And here's a...
And America is waking up, thank God. Like, I am glad that, most Americans, except the boomers, really. I don't know if is Ron Paul a boomer or would he be silent generation? But it really is just like the boomers that are trying to send everyone to war, that love the Iran war. Nobody else likes this. We've already had, as of at least yesterday, 7 Americans killed in the Iran war. A bunch more have been injured, and I talked about last week how a bunch of people have been stranded out there. This war has been a complete disaster. I'll go over my theory on what happened, why it ended up this way in a little bit, but it's not going well. Don't let them try to convince you that, oh, it's going perfectly, oh, we blew up everybody, blah, blah, blah. This war is not going the way they expected it to.
There's an article out about this very thing. As U.S. military threats, actions escalate, coalition calls, this is a coalition outside of Washington, the Congress, calls for ending preparations for a military draft. Yeah. That's good news. Yeah. And of course, libertarians have been on that side of the issue for a long time. And sometimes, look at what it took. This was one of the so-called benefits of the Vietnam War. Finally, the people woke up. Well, we shouldn't have even had that draft. So what did they do? In 1973, they quit drafting people. They didn't quit registration. So you still had to be registered. So the principle was still there in case we need you. So in 1973, and for 5 years, they didn't have anything. It was at 5 years after it was from 1975 on, you didn't even have to register. And 5 years later, 1980, is when I was in Congress and got involved in this debate, and it was very important to me. But
well, I mean, this should be important to anybody to literally everybody. Because, I mean, do you really want to see any of your family members drafted? I don't. But the first vote back then, as I recall, is that there was a coalition of Republicans and Democrats that did not want the registration to be renewed because we figured it would lead to the draft again. But it was a little while later they restored the draft again, restored the registration. Yeah. Because the registration is the principle. Once you're registered, that means I've sold my body to you.
It's we're there for your bidding. You can do with whatever you want to do with us, and they do. And just look at what's happened over the years, and they always making it available, because here they restored the registration in 1980s, and they say, oh well, it looked pretty well. You didn't have to be drafted or anything else, but the principle is still there. And right now, it's manipulated through the reservists that aren't supposed to go to the Mediterranean Sea and Middle East to fight, all kinds of things of using people. But the other one that I said tears away your liberties and makes you a slave, is the assumption and the capitulation to the fact that everything I do and every penny I earn, ask the government what I can do. And then if you want some of it back, under what conditions? Yeah. What are you going to do with it? Well, you fill out a form on what you did with your money.
Right. So once again, the idea being that taxes, conscription, it's all a form of slavery to the government. So that's the important part really here. I don't think we need to go too far into the rest of it. Well, okay, we can jump ahead a little bit. So there's a coalition mobilizing to... let me read the chat really quick. Jerry says, you kind of believe in the first, second, and third wars? Are kind of pro-gas going the second, Russia around China? Not totally sure what you mean by that. Third war. 7 deaths is very good. Some report casualties in thousands, or like hundreds. Even 1 death is too bad and unnecessary. We didn't need to be there. America does not need to be in the Middle East. This is a biased view. Like Muslims, F them. Look, I don't like Muslims or Jews. Yeah, I'm just gonna be straight up. I think any ideology that thinks it is a good idea to mutilate the genitals of children, I am against. So I'm just gonna say that openly. But, yeah. We don't need to be there. The war makes sense to you geopolitically. Look, if Israel wants to fight this war, Israel can fight the war. We should not be there. America should not be there. You got it for the scale. 7 is very good. Best military in the world. I mean, keep in mind that there are, at least as far as we know, no Americans actually in Iran. The 7 that were killed in bombings. Yes, here there are people opposing the draft entirely.
DAA, isn't it, Dr.
That's
Paul?
for sure.
That's what, because it's a must-pass bill. So they put the garbage in there. So they say it'll result in selective service system trying to automatically force men, young men 18 through 25 for a future draft. And they make the argument in this letter, it won't produce accurate or complete list of potential draftees, et cetera, et cetera. Now go to the next one. The change to automatic registration was enacted with no hearings, no debate, and no budget review. There's no reason to think a list constructed from other databases compiled for entirely unrelated purposes will be any more fit for the purpose than the current self-registration. So no debate, no nothing, no, it's automatic.
You know,
right,
I think this whole thing, these arguments of registration and draft, it's psychological conditioning.
Yep.
Because, especially in this age of the government knowing everything, do you think they don't know who's 18 years old and exactly where they are? They know everything, and but they want you to go through the ritual and get this where the people won't even suggest that maybe this is not a good idea, and they avoid the debate. So, but the principle there exists even if they try to hide it, and that's what people have to know what's going on. And I think that the people people, if you ask them, do you believe in slavery? Could this be a slavery if they could pick you up and take you on? So maybe the Civil War didn't solve our problems.
Yeah, I know.
You know, enslaving one group against another one. And this is the innocent 18-year-old. I always argued, look, if you're going to do and they have to pay, they have to serve their country so they can live in this free country. So why did you draft everybody over 50 and make sure anybody that voted for it will go first?
Lindsey Graham.
Once again, I love Ron Paul because he is absolutely right.
Put him out there. Let's see.
And he won't have a nice office someplace in some corner.
Yeah, yelling for more war. Well, if the next clip goes back to the original anti-war article, and I wanted to put this in for one particular point that I highlighted, if you can put this up. With this unprecedented expansion of draft registration, the federal government is, and I highlight this, it is eliminating one of the last barriers to unpopular wars and mandatory military service. And to that sentence, I would say not only unpopular wars, Dr. Paul, but wars that are unconstitutional, illegal.
Every war since World War II has been totally unconstitutional, by the way. All of them.
Never declared. Congress is not involved whatsoever. There's no start date. There's no end date. There's no goal. This is what we're seeing in Iran. And to underscore this idea of unpopular wars and the possibility of grinding more young men into the machine, this is something that came out, I think, from the New York Times or Washington Post. If you go to that next clip, this is going to surprise you, Dr. Paul. I didn't send this up over because I just found this. Unlike past U.S. conflicts, the Iran attack is opposed by most Americans. Now, you look at the support for these different ones. World War II, obviously 97%. Everyone was for it. Afghanistan, very popular at first. Persian Gulf War, very popular. Down and down and down we go. At the very bottom of the barrel, Dr. Paul, is the Iran war. Less than half, 41%. The poster on X said, the Iran war has the lowest level of public support at the beginning of any American war ever. Extremely unpopular, yet they still kind of claim the right.
And these are the beginnings of these wars, by the way. Because, you know, Iraq and Afghanistan, for example, they fell precipitously. You could make an argument for Korea that it was due to what happened at the end of World War II. You could. I'm not hugely familiar with the Korean War, as opposed to something like Vietnam, where I have a pretty solid idea of what happened there. But yeah, I think what you're saying is that Korean War was popular because of World War II. The communists were pissed we didn't let them have parts of Japan. Yeah. I mean, really, personally, I think that every time the West has gone into Japan in any way, it's only made Japan worse. And that includes, like, even when, like, the missionaries or whatever they were went into Japan in the first place. But World War II, we didn't want any part of. It wasn't until our government pulled shenanigans with the trades that caused Japanese to attack, and that got people riled. Yeah, but once they goaded the Japanese into attacking at Pearl Harbor, they got their pretext for war, and then it got popular. See, that's why it might be a little hard to see on screen there for you guys, but World War II here is listed as 1941 because I believe that's when America got into the conflict, and so that's when they got the 97% approval rating.
Right, to come get young kids and to force them to go into it. So, bad stuff.
But it should encourage us to know those numbers, but there's more to it. People have to act, and they have to spread it. And I feel and believe that the ideas are more powerful than guns, which we use as an analogy, because, you know, a good idea, an idea whose time has come, and maybe the time has come now to really deal with this in a more philosophic way, because the issue was around a long time. There was once a historian in the war, 1812 to 14, they tried to draft, and I remember the person, the politician, but he was a famous politician. They were bombing Washington, D.C., and he got up and was telling. He came out with a great speech against the draft. It isn't like it wasn't like it was made up danger.
Yeah.
So he just didn't believe even when the bombs were falling. The solution isn't if you want to live in a free country isn't making you a slave.
Yeah.
Sometimes the slaves don't want to cooperate. So
and it's pretty telling that the story you're just.
I mean, here's the thing: if a war is just, a draft is not needed. If you have to draft people, you've already effectively lost public sentiment. If a war is worth fighting, then people will volunteer. But clearly they know that none of our wars are worth fighting. So they have to draft people. They have to send the men to the meat grinder. And of course, it's only men, right? Because they never do anything. Women don't have to be drafted. I think it's time we have an all-female military. It's their turn. It's time for them to girl boss their way to victory. And then they can do their stupid Fortnite dances on their TikToks while they get bombed. So yeah, draft our daughters. Yeah, mainly white men, the good old boys. Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it this way: if they're trying to draft people, do you think that admittedly, there are a lot of absentee fathers in the black community, but do you think that Tyrone, if he happens to be present, is going to let his little Quandavius get drafted? No. He's going to call up his other hoodlums and beat the crap out of, or just shoot the MPs that try to draft his kid. And even with, like, the white guy, like, the good old boys that go are the ones that probably have, like, a history of military service. Yeah, exactly. Shit, no. You ain't taking my boy, cracker. Yeah, and then even when they try to draft, like, the white people, right? The good old boys that are going into the military are the ones with, like, a family history of being in the military. And those people, a lot of military veterans now are actually turning around and saying they treat us like crap. Because they do. Our government treats our veterans like crap. And I don't know if I should go into the whole rant about it, but the people that will be drafted, like, even imagine if they, like, try going after like the Hicks that don't support the war. You think Jethro is going to be he's going to let Clem get taken by the MPs? No, he's going to be like, nah, you ain't taking my boy, and then he's going to be shooting them he's going to be shooting the MPs with his shotgun, right? So it's going to be like the people that get drafted are going to be the ones that are the ones that aren't really that good at defending themselves, really. The ones that are easy to go after. And yeah, it's the boomer cucks that want to send the young men to die in a war. Young men, by the way, are whose backs society is built on. And we keep forgetting that. It's the young men who build societies. Young men who are taxed to pay for women and boomers. Everyone hates it's totally fine to hate on the young men, and then suddenly they turn around and realize, wait, we need the young men to fight our wars. It's going to be interesting. Because all the Browns and whatnot they're importing in won't want to fight and die for this country either, yet they're replacing us with them. Go figure. Yeah, no, they don't want to die either. No, because no one wants to die for a war that they don't even believe in. And okay, I will go on my rant about the veterans. I think that so we treat our veterans like crap, right? Like, we give them terrible health care, don't really take care of them. And then we're all, we the people are expected to just be like, oh, thank you for your service, as though that really means anything much to them. Really, what we should be saying is, I'm sorry for your service. We should be apologizing to veterans. Because people who go into the military are sold a lie that they're fighting for their country. But really, they may be under the belief that they're fighting for their country, but what they are actually fighting for ultimately is the government. They're dying for the government, not for the American people. And you can see that in these endless forever wars. In what way is sending anyone to die in Iran benefiting America? It's not. And that is exactly what... Yeah, exactly. And that is exactly why, like, you see all these veterans nowadays turning around and saying, don't join the military, it's not worth it. Because they're telling you not to go through what they did.
we're just relaying is from 1812. I think that's the last time foreign bombs were landing on our soil, and they were British bombs. So it's not something that's going to happen very often. This draft is not to defend the United States. It's to defend the empire overseas.
That's for sure.
So the next one
It's to defend Israel.
I want to talk about, is a series of posts on X from Senator.
Okay, so I think we're done with that. They're off the topic of the draft here. There's another clip here from, and this is Jimmy Dore, so he's gotten a lot more likable in recent years, it seems. There is this interesting clip by this professor who apparently predicted the Iran war. So I'm going to pull this up here. Your mom saw it firsthand with friends of hers that went into the meat grinder for Vietnam, and anytime friends even brought it up, she tried to dissuade them. And it was from that perspective, too, of how they treat vets and soldiers in general. Yeah. Yeah, and Vietnam really should be, like, the definitive example of why a draft is completely retarded. Honestly, I think a lot of the best boomers died in Vietnam, in my opinion. That's I think part of why the boomers are such a disaster of a generation is because the best of them were sent to their deaths. Why does this keep shutting off? Stop doing that. Swear face. I wish I could find this clip on YouTube, but
so where do you see this going? I mean, like, so do you think Donald Trump is going to try to stop it as fast as possible, or do you think he's going to listen to Israel and keep it going until we're all destroyed?
Yeah. So unfortunately, once a war starts, it achieves its own momentum, and even if Donald Trump personally wants to stop this war, and I think he does, the military won't let him do so. And the same thing happened in Vietnam.
And see, right, he's bringing up Vietnam as you just brought up. Yep, the good old boys that believe are sent over to die. Exactly. So the government abuses people's faith in America to send them to die for these forever wars. And so what this guy is saying is that once you start a war, obviously it's easier to start a war than it is to end one, right? So we're stuck in this war now. God damn it.
And eventually, this war is going to continue to accelerate. And eventually, you will see the deployment of ground forces and even the introduction of a national draft.
So what he's saying about deployment of ground forces, I think if they want to take over Iran, they would have to deploy ground forces just to take control.
Draft. In fact, even the introduction of a national draft. In fact, Donald Trump is already talking about the possibility of a draft. There's a plan to deploy National Guard throughout the United States by April. And you would do that because you anticipate that young people don't want to go to war. And I think they're right. So I think there is a plan in place to force a draft onto the American nation. What people don't recognize is that, as you point out, this is World War III, and this is global, and the world will never be the same again after this. The question is, how bad will it get?
So there you go. So this guy is known for having predicted Trump and the Iran war in 2024. So he is predicting that there will be a draft, that Trump has supported the draft, and that they're already preparing for it. So that is your draft update. That everyone is already getting. Well, I guess we can look at some of these comments if you want. So he's saying that, as the comment, as the caption here says, there will likely be a national draft. The National Guard National Guard is planned to be deployed across America by April to enforce compliance from young people who refuse to fight. And as he says, young people are right to not want to fight. And the top comment here is, they're going to try to draft all men that speak out against Israel. First boots on Iran, Trump's family. Jeez. The only way a voluntary draft is by false flag. Oh yeah, we are probably going to get false flags coming in. We're already getting like Iranian sleeper cells. Like their Iranian sleeper cell type attacks already going on. And we will probably get like a big false flag at some point. Base black woman here says, my son will not fight for Israel. Good. But yeah, so there you go. That seems to be their plan. Let's see. Yeah, so... And again, I think this all goes back in some ways to what we were talking about earlier with the ID laws and Florida's anti-Semitism laws. Because what they will do is they will use these laws to prevent you from criticizing Israel, from criticizing the draft, and they're going to make this happen. Like, they will make this war happen. They just will. There was a false flag at your old university today. I was watching Jones earlier. He mentioned that there was a there were some shootings here. They're shooting today. I'm gonna assume not to dox you, dude, but I'm gonna assume it's this one here. So one person died, 2 others were injured in a shooting Thursday morning at Old Dominion. Shooter Mohammed Bailor Jallo, former Army National Guardsman, sentenced in 2017 for providing support to... You don't live there anymore? Okay, well, good. Yeah, so he Allah Akbar'd school here. Obviously, it's terrible to see that someone died. I believe this is... So I believe Jones described this as a sleeper cell rather than a false flag. So what I understood from Alex Jones is that Iran actually, because of all the unfiltered mass illegal migration, mostly throughout the Biden regime, people were filtering in both through Mexico and Canada. And because Trump stopped doing mass deportations, we didn't exactly get him deported. And so, a combination of that and other people getting groomed and so on, there are a lot of pro-Iran sleeper cells that are getting, I guess, quote-unquote, activated. And that's who's committing these shootings. So these shootings actually are because of Iran so far. Before I heard the name, I figured it was just gang violence. Was it that bad of a place? Yeah, so there you go. And you're gonna get more of this. Because there have been multiple of these shootings in the last week or so. You're gonna get more, but you are gonna get like a big false flag, I expect, at some point. So here's my... Norfolk has areas you don't want to visit if you have white skin. I mean, I have brown skin, but I still wouldn't want to visit. I would, if there's anywhere that you wouldn't want to visit if you're white, I would not be comfortable visiting there myself, to be honest. So yeah, in my opinion, there's no way for anyone to de-escalate at this point, because Israel and America pretty much put themselves in a position where Iran simply cannot de-escalate at this point. I sound zero like a Jeep. Well, yeah, because I was born here. I was born in America, so it wouldn't make sense for me to have an accent. So, yeah, in my opinion, Israel and America really just made things worse. They really created this World War III situation by... So keep in mind that when they killed the Ayatollah is not just like he wasn't just like the political leader of Iran, but he's kind of like the Pope for the Shia Muslims. Not all Muslims, but the Shia Muslims specifically. And Iran is a Shia country. So if anything, they probably united a lot of the Iranians against everyone else. Plus the way that they assassinated the guy, it's like... What happened was America told him, hey, we're willing to negotiate. And so then they drew him out. That's why he was basically out in the open, so to speak. And Israel knew that, and so Israel just went and bombed him while America was supposedly trying to draw him into negotiation. Now, as we know, there was no negotiation. I don't even think America was actually intending to negotiate. Did they get his kid? They might have gotten one of his kids. I know that the current Ayatollah is his son, so at the very least, one of his kids is still alive. But because of this, like you see all the jokes about, oh, they'll just bomb the next Ayatollahs and all that. That's not going to happen because the remaining leadership are not going to be willing to negotiate anymore because of what they saw. Like the way that the Ayatollah was assassinated makes the remaining Iranian leadership not want to negotiate because now they see us as dishonest. They think we're just as untrustworthy as the Jews, effectively. So there really isn't a way to de-escalate because there's no way to negotiate. And what makes things worse, I think that's it, yeah. What makes things worse is that the old Ayatollah, the old guy that was killed, he was actually willing to negotiate. He was not, like, obviously he's hardline and all that, but he wasn't as harsh as his son. So his son, who took over, is actually worse than the dad. And his son is not really willing to negotiate. So now, effectively, they've backed Iran into a corner. The big if here is that will the Iranian people rise up? If not, this is in vain. If yes, this is good. The Iranian people will not rise up. That's just not going to happen. There is not enough. There just isn't enough momentum, and the regime is still way too powerful over there. So yeah, they're backed into a corner, and as much as I don't like to give Iran credit, they've been very restrained up till now. Because Iran, they could put together a nuke and just go nuke Israel. Like, they're doing a lot of damage in the region, but they haven't nuked anybody, which, I mean, is lucky, really. Exactly, a huge protest, but it's a suicide mission for so many, so they might not. And despite all the claims of everybody going, oh, we took out 50 of their people, there are still, they are still very powerful within the country. The religious regime is still incredibly powerful in Iran. But yeah, they're still doing a ton of damage. Also, it's worth mentioning that America is running out of munitions because we sent everything to Ukraine a few years ago. On top of that, Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz, and everyone's still terrified. Oh, see, yep, there you go. You were saying exactly what I was saying. The situation at the Strait of Hormuz, they can leverage the oil prices, yep. So everyone's terrified of trying to go through and go against Iran, because Iran can still do a lot of damage to you if you go through the Strait of Hormuz. Trump is going, oh yeah, you should go through anyway, power through, and America will protect you. The only way that they're going to be even close to protecting anybody going through the Strait of Hormuz is by going to send a lot of other Americans to die on, like, warships or whatever. So there's no real way to protect anybody going through the Strait of Hormuz. And if things keep going, the countries that ship all the oil, they are probably going to be negotiating with Iran, not with America. So America is no longer in the position of strength. It is Iran who is going to be in the position of strength when it comes to negotiating for the Strait of Hormuz. Enough words from within a bunker. No more words. Well, I mean, they are in charge, effectively. They are still in charge of Iran. So yeah, countries are probably going to end up negotiating with Iran, not with America. And of course, with all these bombings and things, Israel's getting bombed to hell, by the way. And oh yeah, and I did mention that Israel tried to false flag, I think, Qatar and either Saudi Arabia or the UAE a while ago. But yeah, really the only way that they can take down the leadership in Iran at this point is to send soldiers in on foot. And if that happens, you know they're going to take American soldiers. And that's probably when they'll bring in the draft. And Israel might feel so threatened that they actually decide to use a nuke. And, if Israel nukes Iran, Iran is going to nuke them right back. And then that's the start of World War III. And World War III. So, base bombings for Israel? No. Iran, it was Iran that got the bases. What happened was Mossad agents were arrested by Qatar and whatever the second country was. I keep forgetting whether it was UAE or Saudi Arabia. But they arrested them before they managed to do it. Yeah, boots on the ground, Afghanistan 2.1. Yeah. They need Congress to acknowledge this as a real war for the draft. Oh, no. No. I don't think so. All Congress has to do is pass the draft, that's all. Because Vietnam, for example, was not acknowledged as a real war. That's surprising, yeah. See, so my guess here is that Trump didn't even think this thing was going to go more than a couple days. He was expecting another Venezuela. And in Venezuela, by the way, I should mention, there was a soldier who was heavily injured. We don't talk about it because we're supposed to pretend that Venezuela was this perfect operation. There was a soldier who was maimed. He's never going to be the same again. But this time 7 soldiers died, at least. And a bunch were injured. Yeah, my guess is that he was expecting another Venezuela. It was going to be quick. He was probably so, full of hubris that he probably thought that as soon as Iran saw the Ayatollah and a lot of the other leadership die, that Iran would just surrender immediately and go, oh, we're sorry, Trump, we'll do whatever you want. We'll do whatever Israel wants. But they didn't. They're stubborn. They're kind of crazy. And so now there's no real plan because they didn't think this was even possible. So my guess is that Trump wasn't expecting a forever war, but he got one. Yeah, the Brits going to World War I home by Christmas, yeah. How did that turn out for them? So yeah, that is that's my guess on what's going on. So I don't think there's a way that this de-escalates. I think things are going to get worse one way or another, and this is a forever war. This is our new Iraq war, at the very least. But yeah, so that is everything going on with how, it started with Internet ID, and then that goes to all the anti-Semitism bills, surveillance bills, how that all ties together, and how all of that now ties into the Iran war, and how there may be a draft coming, which I'm completely against. There you go. Okay, so... Oh, and on that note, I suppose I can pull up this Anthropic now. So Anthropic is one of the AI companies. I think we mentioned this last week. Anthropic was not happy with Trump's Department of quote-unquote Department of War, as they call it. Now we know why they called it that, because they wanted to start their new forever war. Anthropic was not happy with the way their products were intended to be used, so they refused to let the Department of War just do whatever they wanted. So now the Trump regime has declared that Anthropic is a supply chain risk, and now they're suing.
The San Francisco-based AI frontier lab Anthropic is suing the Trump administration. The lawsuits filed today are the latest developments in a growing battle between Anthropic and the Pentagon over the way the military was using and is using Claude and artificial intelligence.
And even if I wanted to F off to the woods to get away, the government would still come out there and take your dog and family members. Yep. Yeah, they would shoot your dog, your family. Yep. Most likely. In fact, you are probably the kind of person that they would want to come after if you're the type of person to run off to the woods.
ABC 7 Eyewitness News reporter Francis Wang joins us live in the newsroom with more. Francis?
Yeah, Kristen, this has really been building up for weeks, right? Ever since SF-based Anthropic publicly refused to let the Pentagon use its AI technology for mass surveillance or fully autonomous weapons. Well, today the company filed 2 federal lawsuits accusing the administration of retaliation after the Defense Department labeled it supply chain risk. That's a designation usually reserved for companies tied to foreign adversaries, and one that experts say doesn't quite add up.
So, to explain the whole supply chain risk thing, basically, when Anthropic said no, the supply chain risk means that you cannot, neither the government nor anybody that the government does business with, in any way down the like, you know, contractors on contractors, you know, whoever they're doing business with, none of these companies can do business with the supply chain risk, in this case being Anthropic. So they're basically saying, if you don't let us do whatever we want with your AI, we will make sure that neither we nor anybody else associated with us, anybody else doing business with us, can do business with you. So it's kind of like the anti-Semitism laws in Florida. But in this case, it's because instead of criticizing Israel, it's we won't just let you do whatever you want with our AI. Well, being white, yeah. They get scared when we want to go off-grid and all. I don't think it's just about being white. I think really any color. It's more about the off-grid. They get scared the moment you want to escape from their system, as they say.
Well, it's still not entirely clear what authorities the USG is using to designate Anthropic a supply chain security risk.
It's a complicated and rapidly evolving fight with a key player right in our backyard. San Francisco-based Anthropic against the Department of Defense in Washington. Dr. Andrew Reddy, founder of the Berkeley Risk and Security Lab, studies the intersection of technology and international security.
And so I think that really what you're getting is a little bit of virtue signaling on both sides regarding, like, we're going to stand on principle here.
According to the lawsuit filed Monday in the Northern District of California, Anthropic says the conflict escalated when the Pentagon demanded it, quote, discard its usage restrictions altogether and replace them with a general policy.
So this is the thing I was talking about. Anthropic was like, the Department of War was like, we don't, you got to get rid of these restrictions. We want to use this for whatever we want. No restrictions on mass surveillance or whatever. And Anthropic's like, no, we're not so comfortable with that. There's an argument for them being a supply chain risk, like some systems rely on any model and someone chooses cloud errors, the whole system gets clogged. But that is the point is that they were using Claude, and they were using Claude exclusively. That's the point. I think they are now. They have made some agreements with like OpenAI, so they might be using ChatGPT or whatever. But yeah, the point. The supply chain risk is a specific like legal designation that prevents them from using. That prevents them any kind of business connection to them. Dude says, to be honest, it was called the Department of War under Washington. Yeah, and that's fair. Under Washington, it makes more sense. But, keep in mind the reason that they renamed the department this time, right? Because this time, it's not about, wars to defend America. It's war, just endless forever wars for Israel. But yeah, if the AI just says, oh, hell no, and you say you're DARPA, it's actually a risk, but it's probably just petty retaliation and not that. Huge contracts. Yeah. So it's a contract thing. And from the beginning, Anthropic is saying, we have these restrictions you cannot use the AI for. So they know ahead of time what they can and can't use it for. Hey, welcome back, Sergey. Your appointment got canceled last minute. You're back. Well, sorry it got canceled, but yeah, glad to have you back. We got a little more going on here.
The suit also alleges defense officials then attacked the company's CEO as, quote, too ideological and a liar with a God complex who is okay putting our nation's safety at risk.
So I think on Anthropic's side, I think that generally speaking, there's happiness that their principles were upheld by their executives.
As Americans are still grappling with the evolution of AI and how it should be used in daily life, Reddy says this moment is a chance for the public to pay attention.
And so ultimately, we're the ones that are getting to set the terms here. And so I think it matters a great deal. And that's only when we talk about kind of military and government applications, but also when you think about societal implications in some ways.
Looking ahead, Reddy believes the government may eventually build its own AI system, similar to how it handles nuclear weapons technology today.
I think that what this episode suggests is that as you move further to the right on this continuum, towards autonomous weapons, the government's going to have to come up with its own in-house solutions and not rely on private sector actors to provide the tooling.
Anthropic's lawsuit argues
But government isn't very good at building anything, so probably won't be that good.
that the federal government's supply chain risk designation is not only economically damaging, but also unconstitutional. The company claims it's being punished for its speech about AI safety.
Yeah, so there's that. Unless you want plus 40% taxes, well, they'll just, they'll just inflate whatever. Yeah, they'll just print whatever money they want and then tax you after the fact. Yeah, so there's that. There's all this, all that discussion over the Iran war and so on. Okay, so I think we're gonna do the TikTok brain rot next, and then we might talk about something that Sergey actually showed me the other day, or something about Nintendo. So give me a sec. I'm just gonna run to the bathroom really quick, but I will be back in a minute or two.
White girls fuck dogs. 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 When they come home from the bar and they're all alone, white girls fuck dogs and their big red bone. They don't do it 'cause it's good for their health. It's just the way white girls express themselves, yeah. White girls fuck dogs. They fuck up. White girls fuck dogs. They really fuck up. White girls fuck dogs. White girls fuck dogs. White girls fuck dogs. White girls like to kiss their dog on the mouth, 'cause that's what white girls are all about. They spread whipped cream on their genitals to get their dog to lick all inside their holes, yeah. White girls fuck dogs. They fuck up. White girls fuck dogs. They really fuck up. White girls fuck dogs. White girls fuck dogs. White girls fuck dogs. People say that white culture doesn't exist, but when a dog is humping them, they can't resist. They never will admit it, but they know that it's true. It's just a thing that every white girl loves to do, yeah. White girls fuck dogs. They fuck up. White girls fuck dogs. They really fuck up. White girls fuck dogs. White girls fuck dogs. White girls fuck dogs. White girls fuck dogs. They fuck up. White girls fuck dogs. They really fuck up. White girls fuck dogs. White girls fuck dogs. White girls fuck dogs.
All right, we're back. Yeah, so there was something you showed me a while back, Sergey, that's kind of interesting. So we might run through that after we look at our TikTok brain rot here. No candy break? No, I'm not Baldo. I don't do that kind of thing. God damn it. I see you guys love the song. Yes, by a certain Rusty Cage. Sounds like something Blink-182 would release. The dog barking sound, yep. The dude enjoyed it. No, you read the title, Jerry. You read the title. Oh, that wasn't the TikTok brain rot. That is an actual song by Rusty. Like, here, I can actually... You can buy this song on Bandcamp, by the way. Or, no, you know what? We'll even pull it up on Spotify. White Girls. Not finding it here, but... It's actually kind of weird that it's not, Stupid Google. Well, it is there. I will... Hang on. Maybe I can find it here. Here we go. I don't know why Brave Search was so bad at this. Yes, this song is on Spotify. See? Right here. There's a full song that is on Spotify if you want to listen to it. Truly one of the most true songs of all time. So, yeah, enjoy. Alright, so we're going to watch some brain rot here. Hopefully this plays. I know TikTok is a mess on desktop.
Have you ever thought about how we came to associate the beep of a dying fire alarm with
this is gonna be... I really wish this thing had a player. Other than...
with being broke. My name is Drew. I'm a sociologist, and sociology is the study of society and human behavior in...
You know what, I'm just gonna download the video. Works. It's funny because you had an issue with your fire alarm last week. Yeah. Oh yes, ceiling birds. Yes, indeed. Here we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna download it.
Have you ever thought about how we came to associate the beep of a dying fire alarm with being broke? My name is Drew. I'm a sociologist, and sociology is the study of society and human behavior in social contexts.
So Mr. Black Sociologist here is going to explain to us why we shouldn't make fun of people for not changing their smoke alarm batteries, and how it's a product of trauma. So yeah, enjoy, guys, because it's gonna be a hell of a time here. No way. Oh yeah. I know why the ceiling bird cries, as they say.
Obviously is an extraordinarily broad area of inquiry, and by extension a very broad discipline, and so a lot of sociologists choose to concentrate their focuses on really specific topics.
You'll notice he talks extremely fast and shoves in a whole bunch of techno babble, effectively. Or people are just lazy. Someone else that studies human behavior. Yeah. Friggin' socioeconomic factors, am I right? Yeah.
My 5 major focuses is the biopsychosocial axis, or somatics, and it's exactly...
See, I said it. Psychobabble.
Exactly what it sounds like. The bio is how we experience our bodies and what goes on in there, what's going on with our heart and our nervous systems. The psycho is how we experience our minds and also how the brain interacts with our bodies. So that's how things fire, where neurotransmitters come in. And the social is how our lived experiences are, at least in part, the responsibility of someone else, and vice versa. And today I want to talk about the
Why don't you get some scented candles, nigga? 'Cause you gay!
Frontal cortex. Now, in order to identify the relationship between beeping fire alarms, being broke, and the prefrontal cortex, we need to understand what the prefrontal cortex is. And I think the easiest way to describe it is the part of the brain that evolved to make all of the stimuli that you're receiving as you go through life into something cohesive. It shows you which stimuli to respond to, which stimuli to ignore. It's how sometimes people can multitask or split their attention between multiple things. But the prefrontal cortex also has a role in governing executive function. And executive function is many things, but I mostly identify it as the ability to identify, initiate, follow through on, and complete a task, as well as behave in ways that are socially reconcilable and handle your emotions. So
okay, sure. I'll go along with that. Describing what the prefrontal cortex does is actually kind of complicated. I'll pull it up here. Frontal cortex function helps with, as they say, attention, emotion, self-control, and decision-making. That's fine. Damage or conditions like ADHD or depression can affect it. Yeah, so fine. This is the kind of gay that reads a chapter in his school book and tries to explain it to his parents to sound smart. Probably. This is the kind of gay that has daddy issues, I bet.
Using the dying fire alarm as the example, you hear the beep, you register what that means. It means that the batteries are dying. You get a stool, you put the stool against the wall, you climb up on the stool, you twist the fire alarm, and you take it down from off the wall. You inspect it, you see what kind of batteries it needs. You go to your drawer to see if you have those batteries. If you don't have those batteries, you make a point to go to the store that day, you go and get the batteries, you come.
Do people really take the smoke alarms off the wall to change the batteries? Or off the ceiling? Because I've never done that. Like, whenever I've changed the batteries, I just reach up and I just like reach up. I can't actually put my arms above my head with this setup, but like I just reach up, I open the little battery compartment, swap out the battery, close it, and then I get down off the step stool because I'm not that tall.
So using the dying fire alarm as the example, you hear the beep, you register what that means. It means that the batteries are dying. You get a stool, you put the stool against the wall, you climb up on the stool, you twist the fire alarm, and you take it down from off the wall. You inspect it, you see what kind of batteries it needs. You go to your drawer to see if you have those batteries. If you don't have those batteries, you make a point to go to the store that day, you go and get the batteries, you come in, you swap them out, you climb back up on the stool, you put it on the wall, you twist it in, and there you've done it, you've replaced your fire alarm.
Your smoke alarm battery's missing. You know what? That's really not a good thing, but it's still better than just sitting through that beeping smoke alarm. Same. Yeah, okay, yeah, so you just do it while it's sitting there. You gotta buy some 9-volt batteries. I don't know if I have any 9-volt batteries, but you know what? A beeping smoke alarm is one of the most irritating things ever. In general, I just don't really like annoying sounds. Honestly, that's probably one of the reasons I'm not a dog person, is because I cannot take their barking either. Whereas, like, whenever there's an annoying sound, it's just going to bother me so much that I have to get up and take care of this thing immediately. To a point where, if it were like the middle of the night, and I would not go to the store for anything in the middle of the night. But I will say that a beeping smoke alarm is one of the few things that could get me to go to the store in like the middle of the night, because it's just that annoying. I would just be, I would just go to the store and buy the battery, because I could not take it. Usually the battery socket is against the wall, so I've had to take the whole thing from the ceiling and then put it back. Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Weird, I don't know where it went. Wondering why it's not beep. Your house burnt... Oh, that sucks, man. Your house burnt down years back. Alarms didn't save it or me. They went off after I woke up. Well, I mean, they're smoke alarms, right? So, I don't know. I guess part of it just kind of depends on the arrangement and that sort of thing, too. Don't get small dogs then. Oh, small dogs, the big ones are... The big ones might be more annoying because their barking is actually louder. And there are a lot of... Yeah, there are a lot of them around here. Because instead of children, people just have dogs. You woke up to your bed combusting, lost almost everything I owned. I'm sorry, that sucks, man. Turn down my AC here.
Or perhaps you live in an apartment and you don't have the money to buy the batteries, so you contact your landlord and you tell them, hey, I need you to switch out the batteries on my fire alarm. Either way, you've identified a task, you've initiated the task, you followed through on the task, and you have completed the task. That is what's supposed to happen when your prefrontal cortex is functioning exactly as it is supposed to, completely unaccosted, and everything's fine.
Zoom calls with people that have beeping fire alarms drives me insane. Yeah, and the craziest part is that they just stop noticing after a while. For them, it becomes normal. And it's like, how can you live like that? Sucks, but I gotta look at it humorously nowadays. Yeah, well, I'm glad you can, Jerry. Honestly, I would... Yeah, I can't get stuck on such PTSD. It would annoy me. Like, it would upset me for a very, very long time.
Okay, so now that we have an understanding of how a functional prefrontal cortex is supposed to operate, we can start to explore this idea of what a dysfunctional or dysregulated prefrontal cortex is supposed to look like. And one of the most common circumstances in which we can identify a dysregulated prefrontal cortex, and by extension an inhibited capacity for executive functioning, is in people with an ADHD diagnosis. ADHD is characterized by a lot of things, but chief among them, because you have a dysregulated prefrontal cortex, it is the inability to properly manage your emotions, to respond to stimuli tactfully, and also the ability to identify, initiate, follow through on, and complete tasks. This is why...
So you just psychobabbled for all that. I only caught like half of it. Also, I'm getting a spam call. Lovely. The spammers are getting right through the spam filters nowadays. It annoys the hell out of me.
Idea of what a dysfunctional or
Do whole races have ADHD?
You slam that.
Dude is just overthinking reaching about this. People could only take responsibility and not use excuses. Well, yeah, but you know. You know what these people are. Like, my phone is set to actually block unknown numbers, but for some reason it just is letting them through, and I don't understand why. It's maddening. Yeah, it says block calls from unidentified callers, but it won't work. What a disaster. Great, the Jews are calling you. I don't think they would call me. You've been getting spam calls too in the last couple of weeks. It's getting through. Yeah, and these are what I'm getting are like the random ones from spoofed numbers, and they're all silent. So if you pick up, they just don't. Nobody says anything. So I just hang up. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta find some way to just block any call that is not in my contacts. ADHD is an autism spectrum syndrome? I don't think so. Autism is too smart for their own good kind of predicament, so no, blacks do not have the same frequency of ADHD as pure Aryans, for example. I mean, listen, I know that as a turbo autist, I have never met any Urkels.
Dysregulated prefrontal cortex is supposed to look like. And one of the most common circumstances in which we can identify a dysregulated prefrontal cortex, and by extension an inhibited capacity for executive functioning, is in people with an ADHD diagnosis. ADHD is characterized by a lot of things. By extension, we can start to explore is functioning exactly as it is supposed to, completely unaccosted, and everything's fine. Okay, so now that we have an understanding of how a functional prefrontal cortex is supposed to operate, we can start to explore this idea of what a dysfunctional or dysregulated prefrontal cortex is supposed to look like. And one of the most common circumstances in which we can identify a dysregulated prefrontal cortex.
ADD is autistic. No. ADD is ADHD, sans autism spectrum crap. No, ADD and ADHD, it's attention deficit disorder. ADHD, they don't even do ADD anymore. It's ADHD is the only diagnosis they do. It's attention deficit hyperactive disorder, which I don't think that really fits with autism. It's not the same thing. Because autism is kind of the opposite, right? Attention deficit. Autism, in some ways, it's kind of the opposite because you have hyper focus.
Is functioning exactly as it is supposed to, completely unaccosted, and everything's fine. Okay, so now that we have an understanding of how a functional prefrontal cortex is supposed to operate, we can start to explore this idea of what a dysfunctional or dysregulated prefrontal cortex is supposed to look like. And one of the most common circumstances in
Autistic means autism spectrum. No, autist doesn't mean autism. Autist just means you spend too much time on 4chan. Like, autist is not actually a word that is used by any medical professionals. It's literally a 4chan term.
Which we can identify a dysregulated prefrontal cortex and by extension an inhibited capacity for executive functioning is in people with an ADHD diagnosis. ADHD is characterized by a lot of things.
So it's like a wall of psychobabble. I'm pretty sure this one has Tourette's.
Got it?
Wait,
Shit. 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 Shit.
There you go. There's your Tourette's. Tourette's is super ADHD. Jeez.
But chief among them, because you have a dysregulated prefrontal cortex, it is the inability to properly manage your emotions, to respond to stimuli tactfully, and also the ability to identify, initiate, follow through on, and complete tasks. This is why kids who have ADHD before they're diagnosed are often identified as being disobedient or never turning in homework. This is also why adults with ADHD can have a hard time being on time to things. Because even if you understand the stimuli of the consequences, what you need to do, when you need to do it, and when you need to be there, if the prefrontal cortex is not firing the way it's supposed to, it's just not firing. And no amount of yelling or frustration or cutting people off is going to change that. And that's why we have to give these diagnoses so that we can understand them as these specialized circumstances that they are. But
okay, fine. I mean, we know that, ADHD and so on, people do have some issues. That's fine. I'm not saying that, I'm not sympathetic to people who have a hard time being on time or whatever.
ADHD isn't the only thing that dysregulates the prefrontal cortex.
Oh, here we go. Here's the excuse.
There are a lot of biopsychosocial phenomena that correspond with the
biopsychosocial phenomena.
Regulation of the prefrontal cortex or other parts of the brain, like anxiety and depression, but also acute and chronic stress and trauma. And those are the ones that I kind of want to focus on.
Here we go. Acute and chronic stress and trauma.
Especially because the definitions of stress and trauma and what constitutes something that is stressful or traumatic isn't really up to you or somebody else. So this idea that someone can say, well, you shouldn't really be experiencing stress, or you don't really have an excuse because what happened to you wasn't that bad. So what, your parents yelled at you, or so what, your parents got a divorce. I know people who've been through worse. I've been through worse. They don't really determine what constitutes something that is acutely traumatic or stressful.
Okay. Socioeconomic status affecting prefrontal cortex, or what he said. I mean, you're not far off. I guess it's socioeconomic status affecting trauma, affecting whatever.
What does is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis and the sympathoadrenal medullary axis, which are...
He's doing it again.
What constitutes something that is acutely traumatic or stressful. What does is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis.
Hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. I'm going to look this up. Assuming it's hypothalamic. Okay, here we go. Hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. The HPA axis. Okay, so it's a system. Called axis, it's a system. So it's axis just refers here to a literal system or subsystem, whatever you want to call it. Bullshit. Dude, fire alarm's not going to give people trauma unless you serve in the war. Oh, it gets stupider, don't worry. What he said is that not having a daddy smacking your ass when you're a kid to change batteries and tells you not changing in the future. I mean, listen, even if he did have a daddy, clearly if you look at him, his daddy wasn't changing the batteries either. Kids with autistic tendencies are very hard to parent. Overparenting might lead to the opposite that you want. Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
And the sympathoadrenal medullary axis, which are structures within the brain that govern our stress responses. And I don't want to talk too much about the mechanics of those things, but what you need to know is that when they identify something that constitutes stress, that they decide constitutes stress, they release stress hormones. They release cortisol, they release adrenaline, norepinephrine, noradrenaline. And in circumstances where there are continual stressors that they can identify, they are releasing that on a loop. They're releasing it too frequently, and this overwhelms the brain and dysregulates its traditional functions because it's a very delicately balanced system. Now, there are countless studies, many of which I draw on for my own research, that link the lived experience of low-income
This guy is actually giving me a headache.
Or impoverished socioeconomic status with deviations in longitudinal adolescent neurological development, which is just adolescent neurological development over time.
So it's saying
a delicately balanced system. Now, there are countless studies, many of which I draw on for my own research, that link the lived experience of low income or impoverished socioeconomic status with deviations in longitudinal adolescent neurological development, which is just adolescent neurological development over time.
So basically saying poor people... Hang on.
Socioeconomic status with deviations in longitudinal adolescent neurological development.
So he's saying that being poor is connected to your brain not developing properly as a child. That's what I'm getting out of this here. Definitely excuses. There are 0.001% of the population that have tremor causing tantrums. Yeah. Just get to the point. He said it. He fucking said it. Socioeconomic status. Yeah, he did.
A delicately balanced system. Now, there are countless studies, many of which I draw on for my own research, that link the lived experience of low income or impoverished socioeconomic status.
What's longitudinal development versus latitude? So longitudinal just means long term. So a longitudinal study is done over like a long term. It is a real term. Although I don't know if latitudinal is a word. Point was socioeconomic status. Me too, but excuses. It's a simple task. Smoke alarm, to be clear, not a fire alarm. But yeah, it's a stupid term.
With deviations in longitudinal adolescent neurological development, which is just adolescent neurological development over time.
No, I get it, but I think the usage of the word comes from a different place. It's in longitude development.
And well into adulthood. And I just want to make this clear, like, I'm focusing on what's going on with the brain and specifically the prefrontal cortex, but this is not limited exclusively to the prefrontal cortex. This affects the entire brain, and this also affects the entire body. And there are many circumstances in which we can identify those, but we're focusing specifically on the fire alarm. And I think by now you can...
He keeps saying fire alarm. It's a smoke alarm.
See where I'm going with this. In fact, I think we've basically arrived at the part of the video where my point is made. So as we near the end, I really just want to read a little bit out.
We're only about halfway through the video, you gay retard. Nigger.
This book, The Deepest Well by Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris. She is, in my view, one of the preeminent scholars, researchers, and authorities on this specific kind of interaction, the bias.
This guy isn't smart, he's just trying to sound smart. There is a difference. Yeah, pretty much. Like, that's the point of all the psychobabble. Fire alarm is the beeping when it goes off, physical things, smoke alarm. No, a fire alarm is something, a smoke alarm specifically detects for carbon monoxide. As for, I suppose fire alarm is a bit more generic, but typically a fire alarm is, I think fire alarms are typically manual. What's his point? He's saying that being poor, he's saying that people who don't change the batteries in their smoke alarms don't do so because they're poor, and that made them traumatized. You know, some kind of trauma from being poor made them unable to change their smoke alarms batteries.
Psychosocial element of this, the chronic stress and how that impacts development over time, especially in youth. This is the kind of book that should be read in conjunction with things like The Body Keeps the Score or The Chemistry of Joy. And she started to sort of begin her investigation of this when she was getting...
I would rather just read Mein Kampf at this point.
What she felt like was too many ADHD referrals.
You know, this is Mein Kampf, okay? How do I say... Hang on, I gotta look something up on Google Translate. Give me 1 sec. Because I don't speak German. Okay, I gotta look up... Give me just 1 sec here. Translation... German. Where's German? German. Here we go. Okay. Das ist mein Kampf. Das ist mein Kampf. Das ist mein Kampf. I'll say it again. What a fig. I struggle with it. No. I know what Mein Kampf translates to, but it was the "this is" that I didn't know. It's Das ist mein Kampf. Das ist mein Kampf. Das.
To her clinic, because people were able to recognize the dysregulation of the prefrontal cortex, among other things, but she was able to recognize that perhaps it wasn't ADHD, it was something else. And that's when she started to identify the relationship between acute and chronic trauma and stress and her kids' neurological development. And so she says here, the diagnostic criteria for ADHD told me I had to rule out other explanations for ADHD symptoms, such as pervasive developmental disorders, schizophrenia, or other psychotic disorders, before I could diagnose ADHD. But what if there was a more nuanced answer? What if the cause of these symptoms, the poor impulse control, inability to focus, difficulty sitting still, was not a mental disorder exactly, but a biological process that worked on the brain to disrupt normal functioning? Now, she talks about
Die Fresse, Neger. For those of you who also don't speak German, that is shut the fuck up, nigger.
that because she kept getting ADHD referrals, but she was noticing that they were concurrent with other things that were acutely traumatic that she was able to identify. The other section that I want to read is just her version of the breakdown as to what happens when chronic stress is introduced to the prefrontal cortex. For kids with toxic stress, the activity of the prefrontal cortex is inhibited in two ways. First, the overactive amygdala sends messages to the PFC telling it to decrease its functioning because something stressful is happening. You don't want reason getting in the way of survival. The second is that the locus coeruleus is flooding the brain with noradrenaline, compromising the ability to override instincts and impulses. The PFC is the part of the kid's brain that puts the brakes on impulses and helps him or her make smarter decisions. Telling a kid to sit still, concentrate, and ignore stimuli that are flooding his brain with the need to act is a lot to ask. And the regulation of the PFC can have different consequences for different people. For some, it results in an inability to concentrate and solve problems, but in others, it manifests as impulsive behavior and aggression. Wrapping it up nicely together.
Yes, but that is also just a natural. Impulsive behavior and aggression are also just very natural fatherless behavior. I would argue with this idiot and prove him wrong, but I would be wasting my energy. He doesn't seem to get that sociology, social work also tries to help people become independent. Yeah, this guy is not, you fucking dumbass. Yeah, you wrote all this nice stuff, and then you followed it up with, you fucking dumbass. Perfect.
In the dying fire alarm, if we can start to understand that the lived experience of low income or impoverished socioeconomic statuses can dysregulate the prefrontal cortex such that the simple task of replacing the fire alarm is made difficult, then we can also start to recognize that living with fire alarms that beep and beep and beep until they die is going to be a more common occurrence in places where people of those socioeconomic statuses are concentrated.
So, does that mean that black people just tend to be poor most of the time? Are you saying most poor people are black people? Poor kids are just as smart as white kids. Is that what you're saying? Because I think we all know this this type of behavior tends to be concentrated to a certain racial group here.
And from there, it's as simple as subconsciously connecting the two in our brains without ever realizing it, although often alluding to it. And my name is Drew, and I'm a sociologist, and sociology is the study of society and human behavior in social contexts. Although one quick follow-up, I do want to say that this is just such a shallow skim of the subject matter, and it goes so much deeper, and there's so much to say about how trauma is reproduced and how chronic stress can be inherited, the nature
How are you still going?
Of epigenetics and transgenerational epigenetic inheritance, and there's so much to say about like racialization and built environments and how identity is constructed with all of these systems interacting together. There's a lot even to say about westward expansion and the settlement patterns of the eastern sides of the United States and then how they moved west. If you're interested in that, let me know, because I could talk about it for hours. This is obviously one of my like 5 areas of sociological focus.
So what, now my genetics and my colonialism are preventing me from changing a smoke alarm battery?
and they all tie in together. Like, they are not separate. That's why they're like the 5 areas of focus. But if not, that's fine too. I'll just save it for, because I could talk about it for hours. This is obviously one of my together. There's a lot even to say about westward expansion and generational epigenetic inheritance, and to say about how trauma sociology is the study of society and human behavior in social contexts. Although, one quick follow-up, I do want to say that this is just such a shallow skim of the subject matter, and it goes so much deeper, and there's so much to say.
I think we all lost brain cells from that video.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. Honestly, I don't even know if I'm like right about this. Dude,
I don't think it matters if you're right or wrong in this circumstance. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So yeah, this is yeah. EPB's reaction is exactly mine after that. It's when I first saw it, my first thought was, this is PPP's downfall Hitler moment. You know the meme from the movie Downfall where Hitler takes off his glasses and then just pauses and then just starts screaming. That's PPP's version of that. Yeah, like this guy, he's trying to claim that somehow this being poor means that it leads to literal trauma in your prefrontal cortex, and somehow all of this prevents you from literally just doing the most basic thing of changing out your smoke alarm battery, which is something that could literally save your life in case of a fire. You see why I wanted to pull this up?
Why don't you get some scented candles, nigga? 'Cause you gay!
Can't believe I shaved my dick for this.
Seems like one of the tards Static would find for pregame. In fact, have I already entered this video? I mean, I guess this guy does kind of look like Static, doesn't he? He has the hairstyle. You can see it. And I miss when Static Shock was good. Got a point. Just non-Neanderthal things. Sure, you're more of a fake sociologist just doing this for social media attention. Oh yeah, most likely. Most likely. This thing loves hearing itself speak. This thing loves hearing itself speak. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything more to say. What a freaking retard. Narcissist. Yeah. Gonna down a quart of rum after that. I'm gonna down a quart of Coke Zero. Or maybe Baja Blast. I got some Baja Blast yesterday, but I never finished it, so it's still sitting in my fridge. I know that meme. Which one? Which one fractured? Because I just played a bunch of them. Oh, the Downfall. Yeah, the Downfall Hitler meme. Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah. Charging batteries is colonizer mentality and shit. Yeah. Can we get a story that doesn't lessen my neurons? Let me see. Is that? Yeah. So I think our last two stories will probably be a little more intelligent for you. I don't think you can get much dumber than this, so don't worry. Oh, and these nigga bitches really think this way when they wonder why racism exists. I miss Static Shock in general. Yeah, I miss the DCAU. Because Static Shock was part of the DCAU, by the way. There is one of the... I think my favorite episode is the episode where Batman shows up. Obviously, you can probably guess, but... Yeah, there's an episode, I think it's called Nails, where Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn convince some girl that they're good guys. And something or the other. And Batman and Static have to go after him. The ending of the episode is great, too. Actually, Batman, after Static leaves, Batman, while he's holding either Poison Ivy or Harley Quinn, he just goes, I have to admit, kid's got style. Oh. Okay. We'll, let's wrap up the brain rot here. Yeah, so, let's see here. Yeah, so here's a quick one. So according to these people, Nintendo is suing the U.S. government over tariffs. So if you remember, the Supreme Court has said, fuck you, Trump. You messed up on the tariffs. You can't do that. And so now you gotta refund all the tariffs to these companies. So now Nintendo is suing America, the government, over the tariffs. And Trump is just like, oh, well, we're going to do new tariffs now. So, yeah, they're claiming these tariffs are illegal. We're just going to ignore this this horrifying photo here, this horrifying image. Yeah, so a bunch of companies, including Nintendo, are suing. So, yeah, they want refunds over their tariffs, basically. And they confirmed here that they have nothing else to... They did file the complaint, they have nothing else to share. And they're basically just suing everybody. I don't know, F tariffs, my Gibsons aren't $3,000 anymore, now they're 5. Yeah, well, the tariffs would have been good had Trump actually cut the income tax, as they said they would, but they didn't. They left the income tax in place, and then they just added more taxes that get passed along to the rest of us. Good luck reading Nintendo. I mean, based on that Supreme Court decision, Nintendo will likely get their money, and we, the taxpayers, will be paying for it. After we already paid for it, when we paid for all the crap that was marked up because of the tariffs. Maybe they work against China, but tariffing Europe, and then more the EU without an elected body doing the reciprocating is just stupid. I mean, I'm just talking from an American perspective. Tariff whoever you want, but then you gotta cut the income tax. You gotta cut the income tax. Because we're being taxed to all hell. I mean, in fact, like Ron Paul was saying earlier, taxation is just another form of slavery. What, tariff Japan? It's like your number 2 ally? I thought our so our number 1 ally is Israel, of course, and then I thought our number 2 ally was also Israel. Yeah, but they didn't. They're just funding ICE with tariffs. That's why they need them. I don't know exactly what the tariffs are meant to fund, but they're just doing tariffs. The tariffs are mainly just for more revenue. Number 4. Yeah, so tariffs. And yes, they did say that they had to delay pre-orders after the tariffs for the Switch 2. Console accessories received a price hike. Nintendo sent most of its Vietnam-made units to the US. Here, so... Yeah, so they're talking about tariffs. And they say all tariffs must be refunded with interest. The government has conceded this point. And I mean, yeah, they did. The Supreme Court did say you can't do the tariffs. Customs Office, ICE. Oh, okay, CBP, ICE. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, so we, the taxpayer, are now likely going to be giving Nintendo a whole bunch of money. So thanks, Trump. Great job. Immigration, yeah, ICE, they get money from within. It's why you get speeding tickets, federal funding, not enough for militarization of cops. Yeah, well, yeah, that's just another reason I'm not a fan of cops. We pay for a bunch of stuff we don't actually need. That was a quick one, and then... Yeah, that's why they're on and no tax write-offs. So, yeah. Okay, so I think this will be our final story today. There's a really funny one about the apparently Jeremy Renner had an app a while back. Could look at, but I'll say that for some other time. That's kind of evergreen content. Okay, so we'll take a look here finally with something that Sergey showed me. No, Nightmare, you can't just point out when Trump does a dumb thing that makes you a groiper, libtard, or something. Yeah, they call you a panikin and all that, which is such a stupid boomer meme anyway. It's like, yeah, calling for the Epstein file. And you know, like Owen Schroyer, who I've been watching more and more lately, like he has been on this. Like he is really, really disappointed in Trump. And people keep bitching and moaning at him, but it's like, no, Owen is right completely about that. Trump has been a complete disappointment on just about every front. Okay, so our final story for today is going to be... Let me find the meme here really quick. Yeah, so there's a meme I need to show you in a moment here. Pull that here. Copy. Billy Corgan, nice. Yeah, so I'm not like a huge someone who's hugely familiar with all the various musical stuff, so I don't know too much about Billy Corgan, but I found this story very interesting. So the title here is Billy Corgan exposes the shocking plot to destroy rock music. I mean, you might as well have said epic style or something, some kind of, because you're getting annoyingly close to a quartering title here. But yeah, let's just play it.
Some very interesting.
I'm not sure if it was this exact video, Sergey, but I remember you posted something about this in one of the Discords. It's kind of based on why you listen to musicians in terms of politics. Just listen, because this is actually about music. This specifically is about music. I was Smashing Pumpkins, though. Okay, cool. Saying what Gene Simmons said, like, why do you care about my political stance? Well, this isn't a political stance necessarily. This is more about music in general. It ties into politics, but the main point is music.
Interesting comments made recently by Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins about the state of rock music and its decline over the last 30 years, and whether or not that decline was organic or whether perhaps there were some shadowy figures meddling in the culture and wanting for some reason to replace it with something else. Now,
You see where we're going, right? Fuck rap. I agree, and we'll get to that. But you see, so there may be a plot here to replace rock music and metal with garbage like hip hop and rap.
Say this has a lot to do with why I actually started Rockfeed. Growing up, watching rock music seemingly everywhere, and then kind of out of nowhere, nobody in the mainstream talks about it anymore. They almost intentionally keep it off of mainstream broadcasts everywhere, despite the fact that to this day, for reasons that I do not understand, so many pop artists, despite having 40 million monthly listeners on Spotify, can barely sell clubs in the US. Really?
No, I think diversity stuff came before that, actually.
Really odd, but rock bands with a fraction of those monthly listeners to this day destroy them in ticket sales. People with the backing of major labels.
See, that is fascinating, because you do see a lot of people just listening to whatever generic hip-hop or rock or pop or whatever it is. But it's interesting to know that they're not going to these concerts. That's why I find most of my music on YouTube and don't listen to mainstream garbage. Yeah, I have a really... I'm just very picky with my entertainment in general. So, you know, I've listened to very few things as it is.
Labels, people with huge marketing budgets behind them struggling to fill up clubs. But rock bands are doing arenas all over the place to this day. I don't really get it. It's pretty interesting stuff, though, when you dive down into this, as the great Billy Corgan is doing. So, why did rock music decline in the late 90s and early 2000s and ever since then? He gives an interesting explanation. For decades, rock and metal fans have whispered about a conspiracy, a deliberate...
Rock stars aren't selling out anymore? I mean, it sounds like he's saying that they're still selling more than these pop musicians. Not selling out arenas anymore. Yeah. They're selling out. Yeah, a lot of them are.
Deliberate, calculated industry plot to kill rock music in the mainstream. It sounds like pure paranoia, but what if it's actually true? Smashing Pumpkins frontman Billy Corgan recently blew the lid off this exact theory. He stated bluntly, rock has been purposely dialed down in the culture. And when you look at the actual paper trail, the lawsuits, and the money, Corgan is not spinning a conspiracy. He points to a mysterious wizard behind the curtain. Here's a clip.
TikTok influence doesn't translate to ticket sales anymore. I mean, TikTok influence is all rap at this point.
From his recent podcast.
who was the wizard behind the crew. All I know is I saw the gravity shift. If you were at MTV or around MTV 1997, 98, suddenly they decided rock was out.
Right.
When rock was still very, very high up in the thing. And it was replaced by rap.
Right.
They immediately changed the way their standards and practices immediately shifted.
Right.
So now.
See right there. Rock was replaced by rap. Yeah, that's they won't sell anything. Yeah. I don't like Ben Shapiro, but if there's anything I agree with him on, it is that I also do not consider rap music. I don't consider rap to be music.
So now that things that weren't allowed were suddenly allowed, people were waving guns. Okay. So some people assert that the CIA was involved in all that, again, above.
I think that's very likely.
My pay grade, but I saw it happen. I did witness it happen.
So he's talking about being around MTV in the late 90s, and suddenly they really are shifting away from rock for some reason, even though rock was still massive, and it's getting replaced significantly by hip hop around that time. You can see a lot of R&B.
Who was they, though? We can't say who they is, can we?
Press. Who decided to replace rock? We can't say who they is, can we?
R&B and stuff getting pushed. People are now suddenly able to wave guns. A lot of music videos before that weren't allowed to include that. And
we know that like rock and more so metal had the they had all the quote fake satanic stuff. A lot of that was honestly just to trigger Karens. But then you have rap coming in, and rap is actually like full of really bad messages. And you have like the Will Smith kind of rap, which is fairly innocuous, we'll say. But a lot of the hardcore rap that is popular and that just sounds like thumping gorilla noises, that usually has a very clearly bad message.
And he says that some people assert that the CIA was involved, and he says it's above his grade, but there's a lot of books written on culture and how it relates to music, pretty interesting stuff. But the real smoking gun wasn't just on television, it was in Washington. Back in 1996, the U.S. government...
Get jiggy with it? Am I going to have to pull up the, was it Game Crazy? Get jiggy. Can I find this meme? Oh, it's... I don't want to watch an H3H3 video.
U.S. government passed...
But Wingus, I'm not some jigger. Okay? I'm not a jogger. I'm not doing any kind of jigginess.
Washington. Back in 1996, the U.S. government passed the Telecommunications Act. Maybe this could be one reason. Before this, there were strict limits on how many radio stations one single company could own. This kept radio alive. Local DJs could discover a regional rock band and break them to a massive audience organically, which was how so many great bands would rise to the top. Now, the 1996 Act eliminated those caps. Overnight,
I think there are a lot of hard J's that we can use here.
You can find this out by checking the early life section of their Wikipedia pages.
Massive corporations bought up commercial radio across the entire country. Companies grew to own hundreds and hundreds of stations. The local radio DJ was dead, replaced by corporate programming directors enforcing the exact same playlists from coast to coast. The pipeline for new rock bands to break through was instantly destroyed. So
I'll get your comment in a sec, Sergey.
Why did these massive new radio corporations freeze out rock? Comes down to control and cash. Perhaps a 5-piece rock band is a nightmare for a corporate record label. They demand artistic control. They write their own songs. They want to own their publishing. They split the money 5 ways. But a solo pop star is cheap to produce and incredibly easy to control. A massive media company can take a good-looking singer, pair them with an industry songwriter, and force feed the track to the hundreds of cheap to produce.
You guys remember when Britney Spears was hot and not a complete mess? We used to be a proper country.
Singer, pair them with an industry songwriter, and force feed the track to the hundreds of radio stations they now own until the public accepts it. And they were literally paying to force feed it back then. Payola, the illegal practice of paying radio stations to play specific songs, never went away back then. It just put on a suit. In the early 2000s, massive investigations uncovered that major record labels were making multi-million-dollar backroom deals with radio chains to push certain pop artists while freezing others out. Millions of dollars in fines were handed, but the damage was already done. The labels invested their bribe money into pop and hip-hop and deliberately starving rock of mainstream oxygen. And the industry had the perfect excuse to justify the pivot. Woodstock.
I find this fascinating because there's even more to this than I would have expected.
99. The disastrous festival was plagued by fires, riots, and violence. The mainstream media weaponized the chaos, painting rock culture as dangerous and completely out of control. It gave corporate executives the perfect cover to say rock was a liability, allowing them to pivot entirely to safer, heavily manufactured bubblegum pop acts. But as Corgan correctly...
Now, I'm not going to defend any of these music festivals because they are just hives of degeneracy. But there is no doubt in my mind that whatever the rock people do, the rap people are 10 times worse. I'm guessing some CIA spooks were in that crowd to encourage the behavior. I mean, maybe. With a crowd that big, it's not unexpected that something will happen, you know?
Correctly points out, the fans never actually left.
Qualitative things and great artists came in, but there was this overt shift. I saw it happen.
Right.
Pop is completely dominant. Rock is probably the most dominant ticket selling thing in the Western world, and yet there's almost no representation of rock in culture.
Right.
So why do we have that schism? I think they purposely dialed down the ability of rock stars to have a voice in the culture.
And I think Billy Corgan is right, and I really applaud him for talking about these subjects. I think the wizard behind the curtain didn't kill rock and roll. They just maybe locked it out of the building.
You can catch me live.
So there you go. I find this very fascinating that it seems like rock was killed with by more than just bad decisions or something. See here. So let me introduce you to this meme here. Let's see if we can scroll. So this meme explains why rap music became so popular. So this person of God's chosen, he sees these young people going, "I'm going to study hard at school, go to college, and become a lawyer or a doctor. I do value education and hope to enter the political arena one day to uphold gender and racial equality. We must spend responsibly and not beyond our means so that our economy can grow steadily, meaning enough resources and opportunities for everyone. Agreed, an educated country is a fair and prosperous country. Let's make the most of our lives, friends." And, oh, right. I said I would get to your message because, yes, it's important. Yeah, you're not surprised. Remember the email with Jay-Z and Epstein saying how they're influencing commercials during the Super Bowl? Same thing. Yep. They very much are, and we will get to... Yeah, the reason I was saving it because it's related to a few other things that I wanted to bring up, but I want to go through the meme first. But yes, they are very much influencing this, and I guess that goes along with the meme too, really. So you see the member of the Chosen going, "No!" when he sees these young people just being so good and educated. So then he goes to the Ceiling Bird Americans, and you see them going, "No money, nigga, yo shit, fuck, nigga, shit, bitch, ooga booga." And he, the Chosen, he goes, "Excuse me, how would you filthy fine folks like a record deal?" They go, of course they accept. "Fuck yeah, nigga, we on top now, motherfucker. Ooga booga, get that money." So here at Goldstein Records, they record rap. "Hey yo, 1 2 1 2, fuck nigga, shit, yeah, fuck nigga, fuck shit, ass nigga, fuck nigga, ass shit, bitch, get money, smoke weed, fuck bitches, fuck shit." Yeah, that's pretty much what rap is. Now this is played to millions of young people who internalize it. And now this is our country. And the chosen are very happy. As the rest of the young Americans now talk just like the ceiling bird Americans. Yo, school's for faggots, yo, bitch, let me hit that. I'm driving that Ferrari, nigga. Yo, fucking sexy for you. I'm a twerking for that child support, yo. Yo, nigga, I'm riding dirty from the hood. Get that money, get that diamonds, yo. I'm a cap motherfucker with my 9. You ain't never fucking slide like this before. Who's that guy suck? Get that ass. Where my coke at? So yes, you can see where the conspiracy behind rap. But wait, there's more. There is a chance here. So this may be an Operation Mockingbird style operation. Yeah, I know. It's like you've told the world, you've told everyone so many times what the problem is, and they just don't believe you. So you go, it's all so tiresome. Bro, shit. Yeah. So there's a very good chance that this replacement of rock with, rap was another Operation Mockingbird style operation, where they attempted to manipulate, in this case, domestic American music for propaganda purposes to dumb down the American people. So, Operation Mockingbird, of course, was the government using mass media to influence public opinion internationally and so on. And now we know, thanks to the Church Committee and so on, what they did. And this is on Wikipedia, by the way. This is just on Wikipedia. You can find this for yourself. There's also another article here, CIA influence on public opinion. Okay. The CIA has done all sorts of crap against the American people. So you can see, they were funding all these groups that did particular things that they may or may not like. The planted news, yes. The CIA often placed news stories anonymously in news publications. Propaganda planted by the CIA would circle back and contaminate the CIA's own information files, which is hilarious. They funded cutouts, quote unquote. Let's see. CIA made use of mass media assets, foreign and domestic, for covert operations. Let's see here. Approximately 50 agency assets were individual American journalists or employees of U.S. media organizations in 1976. Let's see. I guess work with entertainment. So you may already know this, but the CIA did a lot of consulting for movies and TV. And yeah, the CIA would only work with these productions as long as they were in favor of the CIA, effectively. So they wouldn't endorse Spy Game because the final rewrite showed CIA's management in an insensitive light. And they also wouldn't help 24 on Fox. Oh, and they hated The Bourne Identity, too, because, yeah, The Bourne Identity really makes the CIA look bad. Great movie, by the way. I like it. Yeah. So I don't think it's too much of a stretch to think that the CIA likely was influencing the music industry as well. We have one more here. Operation Earnest Voice is also a psyop by U.S. CENTCOM that uses sock puppets to spread pro-American propaganda, pro-Israel propaganda, on social networking services. And they actually have They literally have sock puppet software, which is just kind of incredible. So they gave $2.8 million to this Intrepid company to do these sock puppets using VPNs, private servers, and so on. And the commander, Atreus here, said Operation Earnest Voice would reach a country's regional audiences through traditional media as well as websites and regional public affairs blogging to quote-unquote counter extremist ideology and propaganda. Where did we hear that before? Oh, right, the Florida anti-Semitism laws. So, yeah. I don't think that it is that much of a stretch to think that rock was replaced by rap to make it easier to control the population. I mean, there's even things like how they were... Like, apparently it's come out that they were... Alex Jones was talking about this. Apparently they were literally started putting fluoride in the water supply to dumb down the American population. Can't really search for it, because if I search for it, I'm just going to get, you know, pro-fluoride propaganda. But, yeah. And that goes along with what Sergey was saying here about... Remember how the Epstein class were influencing commercials during the Super Bowl. Yeah, it is the same thing. The idea is to dumb down the American population, make them easier, more susceptible to control, more amenable to endless foreign wars or propaganda, and effectively turn us back into slaves, as Ron Paul was saying. Yeah. And on that note, I think that is going to be our final topic for today. Right, so let me see who we're going to raid out to here. Alright, so while I prep this, yeah, once again, if you... Oh, I'm going to go back. Alright, so... Once again, today is my final stream for now, before I go on hiatus. So, yeah, I want to thank you all for being here. For, yeah, what will be our final stream for a little while. Bring back Bush. We did. He goes by Trump now. Good luck on the job. Oh, thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. And yes, I am starting a new job on Monday, which means my schedule is going to be all busy, shifted around, so things are going to be a little different. So, yeah, keep us posted. Great streams. Yeah, I will for sure. I will try to find a better time, find a good time to stream and keep going. But yeah, there will be a hiatus for a little while, at least, while I adjust to the new schedule and everything. But yeah, in the meantime, this is... You know, today was our final stream, so I hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed some of those stories, learned something. R.I.P. Base Nightmare streams. Yeah. Have fun returning to work life. Hopefully you can stream again in no time. I'm glad you got your job, though. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, you know, all I need is a nice girlfriend, and then it's like, then I can just be happy, and I can actually be happy for once. So, yeah, we're wrapping up. Thank you guys for coming.
Oh, and one more thing, fucker. Before I go, don't forget to like and subscribe.
And you know what? I'll give you, since it's the final stream for now, I'll give you a Margot Robbie.
Got it? Okay. Now fuck off.
There you go. There's your Margot Robbie. So, yeah, like I said, final stream for a while. We will... hopefully come back sooner or later. But yeah, I just got to figure things out, and so we'll be on hiatus for a little while. But yeah, so you know, remember like, subscribe, and all that, because I do want to try and keep streaming. So we'll see how that all goes. Thanks for the streams. Hey, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate that. It's no fun if you're. It's no fun streaming if no one's hanging out, right? Yeah, so we are going to raid the Company Boys. I'll post the link on YouTube and then do the actual raid on Rumble. GG's, bro. Yeah, I will catch you guys later. I hope you guys have a lovely evening. and we will hopefully see you again soon.